Okay, folks, we are back. This is episode number 17 of Street to Strategy. I recently had my birthday and my anniversary and my 5-year anniversary of being retired from Visalia PD. So it's been a busy last couple weeks. Also, make sure you grab yourself a copy of the book. It's on Amazon. Let's get to it. Today's guest is not a headline, not a statistic, and not a myth. He is a man forged quietly in places most people never see and could never endure. He was born in Chula Vista, California, but he was raised in Tulare, where hard work, loyalty, and grit weren't ideals. They were survival skills. A 1988 graduate of Tulare Union High School, his path into service began early, answering a call that would shape nearly 3 decades of his life. From the Reserve Academy at the College of Sequoias in 1992 to 2 years at the Kingsburg Police Department, Reserve, running felony car stops, working canines, and cutting his teeth in real-world chaos. He learned quickly that courage isn't loud, it's steady. In 1995, just months after the birth of his first son, he entered the Corrections Academy in Galt. 6 weeks of paramilitary discipline, dorm tension, exhaustion, and pressure, balanced with moments of laughter and a Top Gun award on the range. Then came Soledad Prison, an old joint with iron history, quiet nights, false alarms, and the humbling loneliness of night watch. And then to Corcoran. Corcoran was a different universe. Level 4, maximum security, riots on the first night, blood, noise, brotherhood. The realization that he was part of something bigger than himself. He worked the Charles Manson unit, the special housing unit, the so-called gladiator fights that drew national attention. He learned lessons from partners, mentors, and inmates alike. Lessons paid for in sweat, fear, and restraint. Over the years, he moved through substance abuse facilities, drug rehab units, hospital assignments, and the special housing unit once more. He learned that pepper spray doesn't always work, but words sometimes do. That manipulation is sharper than muscle, that overfamiliarity can end a career, that stress, divorce, alcohol, and depression can quietly stalk even the strongest officers. He lost friends to suicide. He nearly lost himself, and yet he stayed. For 25 years, he stood the line until October 1st, 2020, when he finally hung it up. Today's conversation is not about glory. It's about reality, about what the job takes and what it leaves behind. This is a story of a man who didn't just work time in prison, he lived it. Let's welcome my guest. This is Marco Uranga. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm sitting here listening to all that, man. That was an amazing intro, man. As you're reading it all back, I'm like, wow. That is,
well, you know what? Every time I do an intro on somebody, it's a lot to get out, right? And
yeah.
So, first question. You were born in Chula Vista, but raised in Tulare.
Right.
What did that town give you, and what did it take from you?
Well, honestly, it didn't give me much because it gave me much later because I still have a lot of family out there in San Diego. I was about 4 years old when my parents moved to Tulare. And so I pretty much just knew the Central Valley pretty much growing up. But as a child, we would always go back and visit family out there. And so what I took from it really is that I wish I would have grown up out there. Every time it was so cold here and foggy and horrible
yeah, it's
weather.
Nice down there.
I would always wonder, it's not even Christmas time, but my parents want to go out there for a week. And oh gosh, as soon as we got up the Grapevine, man, there's the sunshine, and then we get to San Diego and everybody's in shorts and stuff, But I don't regret growing up out here at all. I made some of the most wonderful friends, and I I wouldn't change a thing. You know?
Nah, and I don't know if you feel this, bro, but I think where we grew up, bro, anytime I go anywhere, I just think we can talk to anybody. We're not intimidated by certain stuff, man. There's something about, I tell a lot of people, man, I grew up pretty hard in Tulare, man, but it prepared me for life, bro.
Right.
I don't know if you feel that.
Right. No, I did. Just learning regular lessons that a young kid would learn growing up. The challenges of me being the only Hispanic kid on the swim team.
Yeah.
The only Hispanic kid on the water polo team. I think even then in 1984, it just really wasn't heard of. And I mean, I don't want to put it like that, but at the time it really just seemed to kind of be more like a rich kid's sport. Like
I would
tennis,
agree with that. I would totally agree with that.
I mean, all the kind of, middle income kids, poorer kids like myself, baseball. My dad pushed me to be a baseball player, baseball, basketball, football, those were the things that he could get me into,
Yeah.
He couldn't afford swim lessons. He couldn't afford tennis lessons. My mother was a substitute teacher at Wilson School. My dad was a janitor his whole life, worked for the city of Tulare, later for the county. And, he was the one that by chance got me into corrections because the last 10, 12 years of his life, not his life, I'm sorry, he's still alive.
Are mom and dad both alive?
Actually, they are, and they're still married. And
oh, wow.
This is something that I had a conversation with a couple of friends not too long ago, and then we sat there and started thinking about every one of our friends that we grew up with and who out there still has both of their parents alive and they're still married.
Not many, brother. Not many.
We couldn't think of one.
I was going to say.
I could not think of one.
And yeah, I'm totally, well then your parents, been together 50 years?
They've been together 56 years.
Yeah. I mean, so dude, that's that generation, bro. And it is amazing, right? It is. And it's like, this generation and our generation, man, unless you have 2 or 3 marriages on your belt.
Just everybody has too, I feel like they just have too many outs. Oh, I don't need this. I'm just unhappy. I'm out. It's easy, just easy.
No, your parents' generation, well, that's my parents' generation. Unfortunately, my dad was married 9 times.
9?
Yeah, I swear.
Goodness.
Married 9 times. My mom never remarried after my dad.
Hey.
But so when I get around parents like your parents, dude, that's impressive, bro. Because that generation, most of them, when they got married, they were going to be that till the day they died.
Yeah, there was just no thought of divorce.
Yeah.
My mother was raised very strict Catholic, and still very devout Catholic to this day. And, even the Catholic Church has changed throughout the years. But, back then, what she learned from her mother and stuff, marriage is forever.
Yeah.
And you take those vows seriously, and there is no out there. Your out is to make it work.
St. Aloysius or St. Rita's?
St. Rita's.
Okay. All right. As a kid, you were trying to survive, trying to belong, or did you get kind of wrapped up in that time? Because I will tell you this, and for the folks at home, what's cool about Marco and me is Marco's 1 year older than me. So we went to junior high together and we went to high school together. And man, I mean, I told you before we started, bro, like when I met you, you were already a tall kid. Like you looked like when you were like, when you were 14, you already looked like 17. You know what I mean? I mean, you were just you were a lot bigger than us.
That mustache coming in, trying to be all that.
But how were those years? I mean, were they good years?
I had a great childhood. I could right away tell. Funny story. My freshman year in college, I'm not college. Freshman year in high school. My mother gives me this card. She's like, hey, with this card, you just take it to the lunchroom and they stamp it and you get your lunch free.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. And so, like the first week goes by and I'm pulling out this card and I'm seeing, other kids just pulling out money. And then I start hearing the snickering and
the rumblings.
Yeah, Marco's parents are poor. He doesn't have no money. He's got this card that stamps. So I remember just like once knowing that I would hit up other friends of mine. Hey, you got an extra $1 today? You got an extra $1? And I would just try to round up $3 just so I could get my lunch there because I was so embarrassed to pull out that card. Because I knew that card to me wasn't saying that I was getting a free lunch. The card to me was telling every other kid around there that I'm poor.
Yeah, and you know what's sad, man, is kids are cruel, man. But bro, I lived in those apartments across the street from the bowling alley, right? And so, trust me, we didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
But my mom would give me $2, and I could go to the Wigwam. Remember the Wigwam right there? And so, there, folks at home, there was this little taco shack. It was right across the street from Tulare Union, and so for $2, I could get a burrito and a soda.
Yeah.
And dude, I was thankful for it, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so trust me, I know what you're talking about. I mean, and this, back then I was a skater, dude. So I remember. So I was already an outcast, but I will tell you something, man. Like, honestly, it's just so funny. Looking back now, if you think about it now, man, that was actually a really cool thing on your mom's part, because guess what? At least she was trying to make sure you were getting something to eat.
Oh, for
you know
sure.
What I mean?
For sure. That was what she was taking care of. And funny fact about the Wigwam, my godmother is the one that owned that.
Oh, I love that place,
my Nina Crucita. Yep.
Well, and you know what? When that place closed down,
it was a bummer. Right?
It was a bummer, dude. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh man, I love the Wigwam." I remember they had those huge old tortillas and the big old burritos.
Big burritos, man. $1.75.
Yeah. Looking back now, were there warning signs or even calling signs for what was waiting for you or what was coming?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I mean, I graduated high school. I had no idea that just, a few years down the road, I would be, patrolling the streets in Kingsburg, going to the Reserve Academy. Initially, I went to work for Kauai Delta Hospital when I was about 19. I had other little small jobs. I worked at Mervin's back when that was around, and just, doing fun jobs. But then I went and I moved to Fontana, Los Angeles, or Inland Empire for a year and a half with my aunt out there. I just stayed with her so I could go to this medical assisting school. Got my medical assisting license, came back to Kauai, applied for all kind of jobs. I was like, I'm going to go into the medical field. I don't know what angle just yet, but I'm going to just get in there. Got a job in the x-ray department, just as an orderly, bringing patients down for their x-rays. Was doing really good. About 6 months later, they offered me a promotion to go work in the cancer care center, working with the radiation therapists. And I got there and met the crew there and was just like, this sounds like a really good angle here. These guys make great money. They lay these patients on the table every day. They just line them up and make sure they're straight, and they give them the radiation treatment, and then boom, the next patient, Well, I did that for it was about a couple years when this one day I, when you have patients that you're getting every day, 3 times a week for 6-8 weeks,
you get to know people.
You start to really know them really well. And I don't remember this really old guy's name. I want to say his name was Jones or Johnson maybe. Anyway, he's a sweet old man, and always in the best mood. He had some kind of horrible stomach cancer, and he was already probably pushing on 80. And I'd always come into his room. I had to push this gurney and slide him up because he wasn't as mobile. So I had to roll him out, and I have my partner with me, and this really sweet woman who I'm still friends with today. She was from Norway. Her name's Ingeborg Prestholt.
Okay.
And she was like my partner, when we needed to go push a gurney, you need 2 people. So we'd been going, it was always a pleasure to see him, and, hey, Mr. Johnson, how you doing? Oh, pretty good, kid. You had that southern draw accent, how the heck are you? Always had little funny, quirky things to say. And, it was after the weekend, and it was Monday morning, and it was like time for his treatment. And her and I, about 9:30 in the morning, start going up the elevator with the gurney, and we're headed for the room. And the nurse stops us, and she goes, "Hey, you're here for Mr. Johnson." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh,
I
no,
see where this is going."
Yeah, he's not going to be going for his radiation treatment. Well, no, he had a stroke over the weekend, So, and I told Ingeborg, I was like, I want to go see him, So went in there, and he's just not there,
Oh, yeah.
He's just breathing. His breathing is just like real roary sounding, like he's struggling. He's
You have him on machines and all that.
Yeah, and we just sat there for a minute and looked at him and just in silence, and then we left and we got in the elevator and we were both just quiet going down, and I looked up at her and she saw me look at her, and we just made eye contact, and we both lost it.
Oh, yeah.
Started crying right there in the elevator. Then the elevator opens at the bottom, and there's a couple of other staff members there, and they see us, and they're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you guys? You need to talk to somebody, this and that."
Yeah.
And so it was pretty much after that day that I knew this is just not the job for me, man. I get too attached to people, and I don't want to live a life of just being sad all the time, seeing people I care about.
I totally get it, brother.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know this. Money don't mean nothing if you're not happy.
No.
And you know what? Who really raised you? Was it the people in your house or the people on the streets, the sidelines? How was it?
Well, I mean, I would have to say it's mostly, in-house with my parents, but I learned stuff from friends and things on the street growing up in Tulare as well. Like I said, my mom was just, my dad would be coming home usually after we left for school because, he was a janitor. Janitors mostly.
So he's working at night?
Yeah, they work through the nights when people aren't there, And she, would basically get us up, she's, once I was sold, I had so many responsibilities that I had to do, get myself ready, get out the door. And, my mom would be combing my sister's hair and getting her all ready for the day and whatnot. And I learned structure, I would say mainly from my mother because, I got home from work and bam, it's your hour and a half of schoolwork that you need to do. You're not doing shit. You're not going out with your friends. You're not going to go riding your bike. You're not doing anything today until all your homework's done and you bring it to me and I approve it. And then she would tell me the worst thing. And I know all your teachers, just think because I work at Wilson, don't think I don't know the teachers at Cherry Avenue, and in high school, we all know each other. It's a small community. So, she would have us in bed at 8:00 every night. All year long. Okay. Do you know how shitty that sucks in June? July?
Yeah.
I would literally be
in my bedroom. Like, Mom, there's no class.
It's still light outside.
Yeah.
At 8:00. And I'm in my bedroom laying, and I could hear my friends riding their bikes screaming my name outside.
Yeah. I knew. Yeah, having a good old time.
This is so.
You know what's so funny? I look at those times and I think about this. My mom was the other way. My mom was kind of like over raising me and my sister. And I had almost too much freedom.
Right.
Like I could take off for days at a time. My mom wouldn't say nothing. And I think the only thing that kept me alive was we were so poor I couldn't afford a car. So I was getting around on a skateboard. It kept me out of trouble, is what it did.
Right.
But at 18, what did you think being a man meant? And how wrong were you?
Well, I just kind of watched my parents, my mom had me I think, I was born in the end of June and she turned 19 that following September.
Okay.
So she was 18 years old. My dad was away to Vietnam in the Navy. And, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought real quick. She was the one that, again, I grew up really watching all the time because my dad was just gone so much,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And, but I, you know, on my dad's days off, and one thing my dad never ever missed was a baseball game. Anytime I had sports, he didn't get to come to a lot of my swim meets or water polo meets because I was in high school then. And so tournaments and everything were always later in the afternoons, and he was having to nap or get ready for work.
Because he had to work. Yeah.
Yeah. But the one thing that my dad, I feel, really taught me was empathy. You know, he would always tell me, you're never better than the guy or the kid next to you. That kid doesn't have shoes. You don't know what he could be one day. You know, he could be somebody.
I'm living that, brother.
And he was the one that taught me, you don't step over the homeless guy or call him a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You lend a hand, man, extend a hand. You know, these are human beings, you know. So it's funny. I feel for a lot of guys, it's kind of opposite. You know, the dad is the one that.
Yeah, they're normally the disciplinarian.
Yeah, you know,
yeah.
Not my house, man. My mom was a disciplinarian.
What was your mom's maiden last name?
Macias.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
That should say it right there.
Yeah.
Well, my last name Uranga and Tulare is somewhat notorious itself. You know?
Yeah. I was gonna say, were you like related to the hardcore Urangas?
Yes, every one of them.
Like Vince and all those.
Vince was my first cousin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For the folks at home, Vince was probably one of the very first hardcore gangsters that was close to our age.
Right. That was really influential.
Correct, because he kind of started all those STL dudes. And I will tell you this, it was so weird later on in life, and unfortunately, and for the folks at home, he actually passed away. He was shot, right? He was
shot by some young kid.
And I will tell you this, though. I had to skate through those bad neighborhoods, and but what was cool, they didn't mess with me because guess what? I wasn't a gangster. I wasn't acting like a gangster. I was wearing Vans and shorts and a t-shirt and a skateboard. So they didn't mess with us. But I knew a lot of those guys. And what was cool, man, later on in life, even when I had to deal with a lot of those guys from Tulare Union, they always remembered me as the skateboarder, man, and a lot of those guys were cool, man. You know what I mean?
Because I didn't think about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah. There was a time I was really good. In fact, there was a time I thought I might do it for a living. But man, I had to get out of those apartments, dude. And you got to do what you got to do. Why law enforcement? And was it purpose, pride, escape, all three? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I knew I wasn't going to be. I was okay in school, and as far as I was able to get my my AA degree into COS, and but I just hated school. I tried to take physiology back when I was trying to get into, and I was just like, oh my god, I might as well be talking Chinese right now, and I was giving the effort. I just things just didn't click with me, and math was just. Forget it, man. Forget it. It was really just difficult for me. And so I just said, I'm going to, and not to make it sound like that, like, oh, you got to be dumb to get into law enforcement. No, I knew how to talk to people, and I knew that if I didn't try, that I would always wonder,
Dude. Great. I was going to say, dude, I live the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, there just comes a point in time where like this, I think I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to give it the old college try.
Right.
But dude, I don't know about you, but so many guys were like, dude, don't try. So-and-so tried. They didn't make it. And I was like, that may be, but I'm still going to give it a shot.
Right.
And, and then look at us now, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it wasn't easy, but at least you're saying, I can totally understand when you say that. I'm gonna do it because I don't even have to worry about it or even second guess it.
Right.
You did it.
Right. And I at that time I just kind of looked at it like, well, I was thinking I was going to go into the medical field. That didn't work out. Let me try this. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, maybe I'll go into teaching. So I already kind of had like teaching in the back of my head.
Yeah.
But I said, I want to give this a try, you know. So then I enrolled for the Reserve Academy at that time, and you know, went through that. It wasn't too bad. I thought
the reserve one's a little bit more chill.
Yeah, it really was. And you know, I felt the training was still really good, and there was really good supervisors coming in there and giving really good classes, you know, and you could see in the class who was kind of just fucking off and who was like a little more serious about it, you know. All I know is I wanted to get through there and just get my PC 832. That way I could just see where I would go from there.
Yeah.
You know?
And for the folks at home, 832, that's enough where you can go be like a level 1 reserve.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will tell you this, man. You know, what's cool about when you sent me your CV, I never even knew you worked at Kingsburg, you know? Yeah. And how long were you there, brother?
I was there about 2.5 years before I took off to go to the Corrections Academy.
Okay.
The way I got that job was through my dad. My dad was a janitor for the city of Tulare for years, and it was there that he met Jim Taylor.
Okay.
And everybody,
that was the chief.
Everybody in this valley knows that name.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? I mean, this man he's a saint. Everybody loves him. And at the time, he's a young guy. He's a sergeant in Tulare, you know. And he was, you know, my dad would always say, you know, man, the nicest cop that works there in Tulare is that Jim Taylor, man. He always brings me hot dogs from his. You know, he would bring hot dogs for all the cops, but he'd always grab 2 or 3 of them and go find my dad in the building wherever he was, you know, through the night. He'd find him and say, "Hey, Pete, I got you a couple of hot dogs." You know, just super nice guys. So when the time came, and I was going through Reserve Academy, my dad says, "Hey, you know, I don't know if you know this, but I know the guy who's chief of police out there at Kingsburg, Jim Taylor, you know, and I worked with him, and he knew you as a child. You probably don't remember, you know, because he'd introduced me to him. And, you know, the way he knew me as a child was during the summer months, you know, every now and then I would go with my dad to work.
Okay.
And I would help him change the trashes and vacuum and stuff. And I would usually last till about 1 a.m. And then he had a blanket and pillow for me.
Go lay down.
I'd go lay down on the couch. And then he'd wake me up about 5:36 when he was done, and we'd go home, you know. So then Jim saw me as a kid asleep on the couch, you know. And so I applied for Kingsburg before graduation out of Reserve Academy. He calls me up immediately. The minute he sees the application, he goes, "You get over here. I want to talk to you." So go walking right into his office, and the minute I walk in there, he's already talking like, "So what hours can you work?" And this, I mean, he's already talking like I got the job, you know. And he just had a love for my dad like that he just already knew he was gonna give me a shot.
Well, and you know what's so cool about that dude? He's a legend in law enforcement in this area. And I will tell you this: he taught me in the academy. I know his boy really well. His boy now runs Taylor's. Matt. I run into him all the time.
Yeah, I know Matt.
And, you know, I mean, in Taylor's here in Visalia, for
Iconic,
the folks
man.
not from Visalia, I will tell you this. It is the most popular hot dog stand with probably in a 50-mile radius.
Easily from Bakersfield
yeah.
You know,
I mean, it is. It's take us into your first days as a reserve at Kingsburg PD. How fast did that illusion fall apart?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, Kingsburg was a very laid back department. I think at the time there was only about 8,000 people in that little
small.
town at the time.
Well, it's still not much bigger.
I think it might be like 12 now.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be totally wrong, but it's not very big. But I right away, I felt in a camaraderie right away with the guys who were regulars, you know, and you know, had really good training there. And the first thing I noticed, you know, I was going in there thinking, okay, this is a small department. You know, they're going to probably be really chill. It's not going to be a very intense thing. No, they were big on training, you know. And there's what blew me away about Kingsburg, is small of a department as it was, Chief Taylor made sure that there was a dog on every watch.
Smart.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's smart.
So we had 4 or 5 dogs at one point, and there was always one on duty. And on the rare times where there wasn't one, like Scott Boland lived right around the corner, Chief Dunn lived in town, so they can make a phone call and those guys would be there in a second, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was really impressed with the training and how, after we would have, say, a felony stop or, maybe a hot call of a domestic thing, right afterwards, we'd come back to the office and boom, they'd break down everything. The sergeant would be like, okay,
debrief it.
When you came in, what do you think you could have done better this way and that way, And one thing, Chief Sergeant Dunn, and I forget his first name, but he went on to be chief after Chief Taylor, and he did his whole career there. And when I was first in my FTO with him, he had a dog named Cass, and I'm riding with him, and this dog was just hyper, and he's always just it didn't matter. He's always there just going, herp, herp, herp.
Oh, yeah.
But I went to, a pretty hot call one night with him, and he taught me a really great lesson. Nothing big happened in the end, but when we got there was a lot of screaming and it sounded like shit was being thrown around. There was a guy and a girl in there going at it, and they were a little older couple. At the time for me, they're probably in their 40s,
Yeah.
Guy comes to the door, hey, step out, and, at the time he was a sergeant. Sergeant Dunn he started having conversation with them. He's like, go speak with her, get her story. So I go in the house and I'm with her, first thing, is there anybody else in the house? No. I kind of take a peek into the other rooms real quick, and it quails really fast. It seemed like the minute we showed up, they just, boom, calm down,
Yeah.
There's no marks, no kind of any marks of anything's happened. She doesn't say he's hit him. He's nothing, So everything's calming down pretty quick. The guy agrees to go to his brother's house for the night. This has happened before at their place. They're just having one of those moments, Sergeant Dunn goes, you have any weapons in this house, And he goes, nope, I don't have anything. You sure about that? Yeah. You're more than welcome to look, So then he keeps talking to me. He looks to me, like, go look through the house. So I go into every bedroom. I start looking under mattresses, look in the drawers real quick, closet, if the guy had a shotgun, they're kind of usually in the obvious place, like right in the closet or right by the bed,
Yeah, that's true.
Under the mattress, that's where the pistols are, So everything quails, the guy leaves, and, after I searched the room, I came out, I was like, we're code 4, we're all good. He's like, okay. Talks a little bit longer, the guy gets his stuff together and leaves, We give the lady some information of, people she can talk to for spousal abuse, whatever, and we're leaving and we're driving down the road and he goes, so you're sure there was no weapons in that house, right? I'm like, oh man, what's he talking about? I said, yeah, I looked around really well. He goes, did you look around really, really well? And I'm like, yeah, did you find something in there that I didn't find, He goes, no. He goes, the point I'm making is this. You went in there and looked and made sure there was no guns, right? And let's say there wasn't a single gun in that house. He goes, what about the one on your hip? He goes, what about the one on my hip? Yeah. And he goes, everywhere you go, there's a gun. And don't ever think your pistol can't be taken and used on you.
Oh, yeah.
So don't ever just because you go and clear a house, get that comfortable feeling of, oh, there's no weapons, we're good, So don't ever get complacent, man. He goes, shit can turn in a second. And next thing you're wrestling, and then your next thing, this guy's could be overpowering you, and he's going to be going for your gun.
It's so funny you say that. I've had 3 people try to take my gun from me in my career. I sent all 3 of them to the hospital. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that all chest out bragging, but dude, when somebody's trying to get your gun,
that's life or death.
It is life or death, and it amps it up. And I mean, at that point, I used to go like, I'm going to take this to a level you never thought it would go to, because there's a lot of, I will tell you this, and so you figure back in 92 when you were doing that, times have changed. Dude, now with DV, dude, I mean, we show up and somebody's got a little mark. Somebody's going to jail, bro.
Yeah.
And we do that more so than not of this. We're scared about leaving and then one of them kills the other one. So and that's happened before. So guess what? We take it. In fact, law enforcement's become almost hyper vigilant to it because, and you know, I brought this up in other episodes. The times I got in trouble was when I tried to help people. And so what it does is this: no good deed goes unpunished, bro. And what ends up happening is, after a while, most cops just go like this: screw it, we're just going to put everybody in jail. Yeah. Right? And then it comes across as you're being an ass, but you're not. Right. You're actually being protective of your career.
Right. Well, at that time, you know, and it definitely changed since, but like I said, at that time, you know, the only thing that we could offer this woman was just this card with a phone number that she could call to get help. We didn't have anything immediately there, any kind of counselors.
Well, you know what changed that is OJ.
Yeah.
After OJ, after OJ, bro. There was, because really pre OJ, if the victim did not want to press charges, law enforcement's hands were kind of tied. Right.
Exactly.
After OJ, then those laws were enacted, and now the state of California presses charges. The female doesn't even have to. And guess what? I've seen a lot of men be victims of domestic violence as well.
Just so your attorney picks it up.
But I used to tell people, you know, they're like, dude, why are you guys putting me in jail? And I'm like, hey, bro, the state of California is arresting you. They're the ones that are pressing charges. Right. Because at the end of the day, bro, and again, man, that's a quick way to, your career will be over if you don't do something. Well, number one, too, it's a felony, and you can't be overlooking felonies. And working with a canine early on, did that teach you confidence, fear, or respect for the control that a dog can? Oh,
it totally showed me the intimidation and control a dog can have.
Big time.
I'll say this to the dads. The best partner any cop could ever have is a fearless dog.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, we had...
Were they shepherds back then?
Yeah, and Basta was the only Belgian Malinois.
Yeah.
You know, smartest dog.
Well, here's the thing about a Malinois, and I always say this, it's a German shepherd on methamphetamine.
It is, man. Right. It was, and this dog's nose was different. He won several of those competitions that they would meet in Fresno and Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah, where you can sniff out the drugs.
Yeah, you know, they have all these objects on the ground, you know, a toolbox, a hat, and there would only be drugs under one of them, you know. And Basta,
he knew right where to go.
He would just win all. So this one morning, it was probably about 5 a.m, and I'm patrolling in my own unit, and Scott Bolin is on, and he's the owner of Basta, and he pulls the car over, so I go to back him up, and you know, two people look a little shysty, but it's early in the morning. You know, I can't put a beat on him, but he gets them out, and he's searching the car, and then he sends Basta in the car, and the dog gets to the back seat, and he's just scratching, you know, this one corner, you know. Scott pulls up the seat, looks in the seat. There's nothing there, you know. Dog goes around the car again. He lets him in the car again, and he goes right back to that same corner.
Keying on that same spot.
He's scratching. And Scott looks up, you know, he pulls his flashlight, and he starts really looking close. And he looks over at me. I'm standing outside. And he goes, hey, look. And he shines the light right at it. There's one tiny little marijuana seed. A seed. And the fucking dog was smelling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, like Scott looked up at me and he just smiled. He's like, my dog's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I would taste something more than half a dozen times. They'd be like, hey, Jay, they're going to have a canine opening, man. You going to put in for it? I'm like, I don't want no stinking ass filthy dog in my car. I'm bougie, dude. I did not like that.
Always full of hair. Always smelled like dog. And I was like, you got to be a special person, man. I love dogs.
I was really big. My unit looked good. My uniform looked good. I was
pristine.
I really did. I really prided myself on my appearance. And either times I had to move like a canine car, you get out and your uniform's just covered in hair.
Yeah.
Your first felony car stop. What did your body feel before your brain even caught up to it, man. Because mine was electric, bro.
Oh yeah, just total adrenaline rush. There was a shooting in Selma, and as soon as we got the call, we had already practiced this. You know, that anytime there's a shooting in Traver or Selma or Dinuba, we would automatically set up perimeters.
Yeah,
there's only like 3 roads coming in and out of Kingsburg. Okay, so I haul ass to the Golden State Road. That's Golden State Highway coming right into Kingsburg.
Oh yeah,
and I post up right out there, kind of tuck myself into the trees, and we're looking for a maroon Saturn, and they got a partial plate of 77, the last 2 numbers, you know. So I'm sitting there, not even 3 minutes.
Here it comes.
Right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maroon Saturn. So I come creeping out onto the road, and I come right up behind him. Last 2 numbers, 77.
Yeah.
This is them, you know. Right there, you know, just like,
you know.
And so I just, you know, dispatch, I believe I have the vehicle coming out of Selma, partial plate 77. I give the plate real quick. And my Sergeant Hinojosa, this older Mexican guy, hold traffic, don't stop them yet, let us get there, you know, follow them. And so, you know, I just kind of keep following them. They get up to Conejo, and they hang a right, and I see the other guys flying up behind me, you know, and as soon as all the other 2 units got behind me, lit him up, pulls right over. You know, I was like, oh, thank God, no chase.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just came right out with the shotgun. I wasn't even going to be drawing my pistol. You know, I just came out and I just racked it as loud as I could. And their hands came right out the window. You know, there's just no mistaking for the sound of a shotgun racking.
I was going to say, for the folks at home, that Remington 870 has this. We always say it's the international sound of "don't fuck around," which is
yeah.
Right?
I hadn't even yelled the command, and they all started sticking their hands up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we get the K9 there, and he's, you know, Cass is going crazy. You know, anytime you let that dog out, he knew something was up, so he just roar. And they cooperated, got out one at a time. We're bringing them all the way back to us, doing everything like, you know, we'd practiced there. And sure enough, you know, we go to start searching the car, and there's a shotgun inside the vehicle, you know, a couple pistols in the trunk, you know, and, you know, everything went smooth. But, you know, I'm driving home later that day. I was like, today could have been the day I caught one, you know.
I would tell you this for the folks at home: the first time you point a gun at somebody, I think every cop will always remember what the first time it feels like when you point a gun. Yeah. And, you know, mine was in Tulare, dude. And I honestly, man, I remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah. And it's like, I just remember my body was electric. The hairs on the back of my neck, you know. Yeah. And, you know, it's just something you'll never forget. No. But it's interesting because, it's like your body feels it before your brain can go, okay, all right, let's go. Let's revert to our training. But for those first, I'd say 30 seconds, man, I was pure adrenaline, bro.
Yeah, the guys were making fun of me later. Like, bro, did you hear how high pitched your voice was on it?
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't. They're like, bro, it was.
And for the folks at home, here's the thing.
This Robert 11, I think I got the vehicle.
When you get on the radio and you're excited, it does. Yeah, it comes across. You know, because they want every call to be like they're talking like this.
Yeah,
and
all calm.
And it's not like that. No. And but I will tell you this, man. And I like to see that those small agencies train like that, because Visalia, bro, I do 1 a day, 2 a day sometimes. When I was in the gang unit, dude, dude, we were rolling around. I mean, I was drawing down on everybody. By the end of my career, I think I pointed a gun at right about 500 people.
Oh, yeah.
And in that moment, did you realize how thin the line really is between life and death?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, I had only been married, I think, about a year at that time to my first wife. And I came home and hugged her a little tighter that night. Yeah. You know? And
Was she from Tulare?
No, she was from Dinuba.
Okay.
Yeah. And I definitely hugged her tighter, and just that, you know, it was something that I realized, that if I'm going to be in this career, this is going to be something I'm going to have to get a little bit more used to. And then when you say do you remember, the first time you pointed a gun? The first time I really pointed a gun at a guy, I'll never forget, because we had set up like an undercover sting at the Del Monte plant. For 3 nights in a row, they had been hitting cars, stealing the stereos, So at the time, I have an 85 Z28, man, with T-tops. I love that car, man. I wish I did
an 85 Z28.
My first baby ruined that car because I had to get rid of it and get a family car.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in that car, just parked down the road. Del Monte plant's right here, and I'm posted up. We got another cop. We're all over the place, just kind of sitting in our own vehicles.
Was it a crew from Kingsburg?
Yeah,
there
was about 3 reserve officers and about 2 or 3 other full-time cops.
Okay.
And we had 2 sergeants on duty that night.
And were the bad guys, were they from Kingsburg or were they outside?
No, it turned out that they were from Selma and like Traver area.
Okay.
They were coming in there, and what they were doing is they knew that they were starting their shifts there at 10 o'clock at night, so they just show up a little bit after, and all those cars in that parking lot are free game. They ain't going to be coming out to them. Ain't nobody coming out to them. It's not like a parking lot in Kmart or anything. And so I'm sitting there, not even 15 minutes after we posted up, and this car comes right by me, stops, 3 cars in front of me. I'm parked along the road, so there's cars lined up, and then there's the main parking lot, but I'm on the road. Pulls up, this guy gets out, and he starts looking with a flashlight. Kingsburg, Robert 11, be advised, I got movement over here. I got a guy looking in windows, and as I'm saying it, he takes that same flashlight, hits the window. And so I get out, and everybody's coming out, and I come creeping around, and his legs are hanging out the door. And as I come around, I'm like, freeze, fucking let's see your hands. He just freaks out. And he steps, get up, get out of the car, get on the ground. And he kind of got out and started to like go like he was going to get down. And he got like in the starter stance and he fucking bailed. And I'm like this. And I'm like, the first thought for like 2 seconds, I thought, this guy just fucking ran. I had a gun pointed at him.
Yeah.
I said, I bet he wouldn't have ran if I had a dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dog, that's a green light. So, but it was so poetic because he took off running, and it was like a timing thing. This same guy, Scott Bolin, that I talked about with the Belgium Malwa, with Basta, as he's running, he comes flying out of this alley, and it was a timing thing. The kid hit the car and just flew over the hood. It was just like, we got him and his partner. And then what was beautiful is when we searched the car, there was like 4 or 5 radios and speakers from all the. I was like, these idiots didn't even know to like get rid of the evidence. They had all the shit that they'd stolen the night before, the few nights before.
Back then, were you prepared or just tough enough not to quit?
When I was at Kingsburg?
Yeah.
I was so young, I was like 22, 23. And I don't think I was prepared. I was just like learning as I go, and just like they taught in corrections, you can only learn so much in that academy. The real lessons are on the street.
Dude, I will tell you something. Every cop that I worked with here at Visalia, we all had that imposter syndrome, which was I always say this, my first year as a cop, I realize now how much I didn't know, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, and we learned, unfortunately, our lessons got paid for in blood and sweat and tears. Mm. But I will tell you this, man, my first couple years of being a cop, I am amazed that I didn't really make horrible mistakes, because I could tell you this, compared to the cop I was the day I retired, right? Dude, I was light years ahead of that guy before. Yeah. And, if you really think about it, yes, there's good decision making, but there's a lot of luck there too, bro.
Absolutely.
Right. And your first son was born, and 3 months later, you're gone. How heavy did that guilt sit with you being gone and having a brand new baby at home. That must have been tough, dude. Must have been tough.
It was the worst. I mean, being gone, 4 hours north, I had just gotten to barely know him.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be stuck at this academy for 6 weeks. And the whole 6 weeks, they only gave us liberty once, where I got to come home for like an entire day and had to be back to, I got to come home Saturday morning and spend the night at home. And, I had to report back in by Sunday night.
So that kid is now 30 years old?
Yeah. My oldest boy, Seth. You know Seth Uranga? My oldest boy? He bounced at a lot of the
I
clubs.
do. Yeah.
There was one night where
I think I do know him.
You might have heard of this incident. It happened a few years back. He was bouncing at the front door of VBC, Visalia Brewing Company, and an officer came pulling up there in front, and he was going to another call like down the street. But as he pulled up, he got out of the car, and some crazy guy with tattoos all over his face just started wailing on him, just attacked him. And like shoved him back into the car and was just bombing on him.
I do remember that.
Well, my son was standing there and he said he looked and people are pulling their phones out. And, he had a rule there, like he can't leave the front door.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, man, screw this, and he ran over there and this guy had a backpack on. And he said all he could see, he says, I'm going to grab this guy's backpack and jerk him out. And he jerked him out and he fell onto the road and the cop comes up and they both jump on top of him and he literally helped the officer handcuff him, and the cop was, bleeding. He'd gotten sucker punched,
Oh, yeah.
Well, my son told me for the next few weeks, there was Visalia PDs randomly going in there on Friday nights when they knew he was working and just thanking him, saying, dude, this was...
It is.
Thank you so much
for
what, bro? Stepping up, man. Not just being one of those people just sitting there watching.
100%. I tell you something. I was the officer in charge of downtown for a few years, and I got some wild stuff, man. I mean, dude, I tased so many people down there. But that VBC, and here's the problem with the VBC. I like the owner.
Yeah.
I like some of the people that work there. The problem is you got that skinny little hallway, and people. Everybody always gets drinks poured on them.
Yeah.
Fights start from that.
Mm-hmm.
But one time the owner had me come talk to the bouncers because the bouncers were having a rough time with patrol. And I show up and I said, guys, here's the problem. Just because you're a bouncer, when I run up and see you guys rolling around on the ground, we don't know who the bad guy is.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're just going to take you both. And I'm like, but you're really not supposed to be cold cocking people as bouncers, right? Yeah. I go, your job is to get them out of your bar so they don't cause problems.
Yeah.
And I go, and if they don't go, then you call us. But in fact, I don't, VBC is not my spot. But I will tell you this, anytime I go there, I always see people, hey, man, you spilled a drink on me. And I'm like, but that little skinny hallway, it's hard to get to the bathroom or the food.
Yeah. And as the night goes on, the drinks start going more.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, but getting back to what you're saying.
No, go
ahead. Going off to the academy with my first little baby being born was just tough, man. I just missed him to death. And then, they had like, at the time, payphones that you couldn't have your cell phone. And back then, I think my cell phone was still the old Motorola flip phone. There was no even texting. And you're walking by the phones and you're hearing like people crying on the phone. Oh, I miss this. Just like, oh God, this is horrible. I missed him so bad. But I wanted to say one thing about karma, like going back to Kingsburg. Just this one quick story, and then we'll go back. But this one night, it was early in the morning. Like I'm getting ready to get off like at 6:30, and I had been bored all night. There was nothing going on, and it was actually probably more like close to 5 in the morning. I'm sitting there, and here comes the only car cruising through town. Got a headlight out, so I get behind him and follow him for about a block. He's driving straight as an arrow. I'll see what he's up to anyway. I'm bored. Fucking headlight out. Light him up. I get to the car. As soon as I get to the window, I could smell the alcohol, So this guy, you've had a few beers tonight, huh? He goes, you know what the guy tells me? He goes, officer, I have way too much respect to even start to bullshit you. So I drank about 9 beers tonight, and the last one was just about an hour ago when I left my friend's house in Reedley.
Hey,
shit, huh?
Hey, all right.
Wow. I said, you're driving pretty straight for having that many beers. He goes, well, we started about 10 o'clock, and I just stayed there all night. I'm going through something with my wife, and I said, okay, hold on here a minute. And I look at his license, I run it and stuff. He's 2 blocks from his house. 2 blocks,
Did you know that that's the industry standard? Most people get arrested about
within
it's
a quarter mile of their house.
I was gonna say I think it is
or
a quarter mile.
Accident within a quarter mile.
It is a
house.
quarter mile. Yes.
So I knew this guy. I could take him, and he's easily going to be a DUI. At the same time, there was 2 things stopping me. He was extremely polite and extremely honest.
Yeah.
I've heard, how many times have you heard? Well, I've had a couple beers.
Oh, 1,000,001.
This
dude.
guy's like, I drank about 9 beers off.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Never heard that. The other thing is I really wanted to go home, and I knew if I took him for a DUI, I was going to be there until at least another 3 or 4 hours.
And I'll tell you this, for the folks at home, a DUI is not quick.
No,
because
it's just the start.
I was going to say, because here's the problem. You got the report, the admin per se, towing the car.
Yep.
So now you got the CHP 180. Then you got to get him to the station. Are we going to do breath? Are we going to do blood? And then you got to write the narrative. And so guess what?
Yep.
Yeah, if you're getting ready to get off work, you would have been there for a minimum of 2 more hours at least.
Right. So I decided to give the guy the break of his life, and I go back to the car and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna let you get away with one tonight, just because you're so honest with me, and I see that you're only 2 blocks from the house. So I'm gonna follow you home right now, and I better not see your car moved again. At least for the next few hours, and at least until I'm off work." "Oh, thank you, officer. Oh, hey, I promise. I'm going straight home. I'm going to bed, till the afternoon." Okay. We take off. I'm following him. He gets to his house. He gets out and he waves. "Thank you." All right, man. I did him one solid. Maybe it wasn't the right call. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably about 3 weeks later, I get a very regular call. Shoplifter at Kmart. I'd done that one many times.
Yeah.
Going there, what are they called? The
loss prevention.
The loss prevention people.
Yeah.
They're sitting in the office with this guy. He's not even handcuffed. It's kind of a bigger looking white guy, but not too big, So I'm not really stressing. I right when I go in, I get him up and search him again. "Well, we've already searched him." "Yeah, okay. Let me.
Yeah,
let me
I'm going to do it too.
Okay. He's good. He's cooperating and everything. And I tell him, "Okay, go ahead and stand up at this time. Turn around, put your hands behind your back." He does. I cuff him, and then as I'm walking him out, I'm explaining to him, I'm going to take you down to the station. We're going to cite you. It's just going to be a couple hours. We're going to do some paperwork. You're going to have a court date. And then you'll come back to, answer for all this. And, blah, blah, blah. "Oh, no, I'm going to jail right now. No, they just told me I wasn't going to go, And he just starts tightening up and doing that. I'm like, "Hey, calm down, man." No. And he just starts pulling away from me. And boom, we go to the ground. And now, thank goodness this guy's cuffed. I'm just able to lay on top of him and try to... But he's kicking his legs around. He's pushing off the side. He's kicking shit off the aisles. And, I right away call for backup, and I only have my sergeant on duty. So he's probably in the office. So he's, probably running out. It's going to be a few minutes. And I hear this voice, "Officer, do you need some help?" And I turn and look, and there's this civilian standing there. And right when I look, this guy's legs are flying. And I just go, "Can you just lay on his legs?" And the dude just jumps on his legs, A minute later, here comes my sergeant. We get this guy under control, and we stand this guy up, and now he's walking with us and cooperating, and we're walking him out. And I look to that guy and I go, "Thank you for that." And he goes, "Hey, no problem." And when he did that, and it hit me.
That was
this is the fucking guy that I let go 3 weeks ago, And I just thought, oh my God, karma totally came back to me right now. Like, there's no way this guy would have.
I was going to say, you know what's so weird? Similar stuff, man. But dude, I was in charge of Mooney for 2 years and Main Street for 2 years. So, dude, I was the king of dealing with people shoplifting. You would not believe how many people from Tulare that me and you both know that I've either booked or cited.
Oh yeah.
And dude, and people would be like, "Hey man, remember me?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I remember you." And I'll get in the car, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
you were the dude that skated around town all the
time. Walking into that corrections academy as a new father, what scared you more, failing there or failing at home? Because I would tell you something, dude. My first couple years, I was worried about, yes, I didn't want to fail at the PD, but I was also realizing it was already affecting my marriage.
I can't honestly say that because I was married 2 years at that point. We just had our first kid. I felt like my marriage was solid. I felt really good about my marriage at that point. So my only focus was.
How many kids did you have with her?
I ended up having 2 boys.
Okay, two boys. Okay.
I have Seth, who's 30, and Lucas came 5 years later. He's 25 now. And all I could think about was just don't get in trouble here. Do everything they tell me to do.
Yeah.
Get through these 6 weeks, and then somehow get a job back home, because before you go to the academy, you already know what prison you're going to.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to sit around and wait. There was no spots open at Corcoran. Corcoran 2 didn't exist. The Delano prisons didn't exist back then. So I basically had a choice between Wasco, Corcoran, and Pleasant Valley, which is Avenal and
yeah.
And so I said, you know what, the closest one to home is Soledad. So I got to take that one. I got to get my foot in.
Yeah.
And I'll figure it out from there. Well,
is that Salinas or where's that one? Okay.
It's by Salinas.
Yeah.
And then after I left, they built Salinas Valley State Prison, which was, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But all I could think about was just keeping my nose clean, doing the right things, and getting it done, getting through those 6 weeks. Getting to Soledad, and then I knew when I graduated the academy, I knew I was going to be going out to Soledad, so I knew I was still going to be apart from them, but I could still I could go out there. You're what's considered a pico at the time. You're just part time when you first. Some guys were able to get spots that were full time before they even go to the academy, but there wasn't a lot of full time positions at that time. And if you're just trying to get in, you have to go in as part time, whatever prison you're going to. So you don't have a home, you're a pico, you're being hired by the day,
Let me ask you this. What city were you living in?
I was living in Salinas.
Okay.
Yeah, I was renting a room out from this really nice old couple. I was renting a room out of their bedroom.
I will tell you something. You know what's so interesting? So after the academy, years later, I became a attack officer, so a drill sergeant, pretty much at the academy. And I used to tell all of the cadets this. Because one of their questions, what do you expect from us? And I used to tell them, everything you've got to give. Do what I tell you to do, and you're going to be okay. And you just said it. You're like, hey, I just want to do what I was told. If more people would do that, they would be okay.
I love, what you're saying just totally reminds me of Forrest Gump. The sergeant is, Gump, what is your sole purpose in life? To do whatever it is you tell me to do, Sergeant. God damn it, you are a fucking genius.
You're going to be a general someday. Yeah, but it's so true. And, I don't care what academy you go to. Academies suck because they're high stress.
Yeah.
There is screaming. There is yelling. There's tests. There's all these things you got to do.
Yeah.
But I think if people... I used to tell people, hey, how do you prepare for a kick in the nuts? You don't. You just have to do it. You got to go do it and do what you're told.
Right.
In fact, jump into that paramilitary environment. What broke people first? Was it ego, exhaustion, or fear?
Definitely the ego.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say in the first 4 days, my graduating class was 354 cadets.
That's huge.
Oh, huge. Oh, but
massive.
They said back then it was small.
Yeah.
But man, egos. In the first week, we probably had 400 people start, And in the first week, there's
there are tons of
50,
people
60
quit.
people
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
just
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Oh,
I ain't
people-
gonna have some fucking guy yelling and screaming at me, and it's just like, because you have, the Correctional Academy was different from, say, the Reserve Academy. Whereas in, like, maybe a lot of police academies tend to have a lot of like younger guys like me, somebody 25 and under, Corrections Academy, man, there was 50-year-olds in there.
Oh yeah.
There was people in their 40s, tons of women, tons of men, just lots of personalities, man. It was just
and they all don't get along.
And then you had dorm setting rooms where there would be like maybe 10 racks of bunks, so there's like 20 dudes in there. And then they had other rooms where there's like 4 racks, so there's like 4 or 5 cadets in there, just depending. I was in a room with like just 3 other guys, but one of them was like the loudest snorer in the whole bunch.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like trying to get sleep. It was an early day, like chow started at 5:30 and the first classes started at 6:30, so you had an hour to eat. Well, they did it on purpose, like they would rotate the companies. There was about 40 something, probably 35 to 40 people in each company. I was in Alpha Company. And, okay, so, on this day, Alpha Company goes to chow first, Well, what you learned after about, a week was, if you're in the last couple of companies, those are the mornings you don't get to eat.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, man, we're running out of time. Fucking class starts at 6:30. Are we going to get to eat? They're like, fucking class starts at 6:30. If you're not there, you're out of the academy. I don't fucking give a shit about your food. The food was horrible. We'd have these little thin flank steaks, for chow in the evening.
It must have been the same stuff they served the inmates.
No, you know what? They did do that. They did that in a way to show you kind of like what they're eating. And a lot of it was the same stuff because the Sacramento prison was nearby, and that's where they got a lot of their food from. And the leftover meat from the dinner the night before was in the fucking eggs the next morning. You're like,
well,
this is the same.
It's so funny you say that. When I was in the Navy, I remember seeing this big box, and they were making soup, and on the side of the box it said, "For prison or military use only." right, because the food is
for
not
regular
good.
people. This is not good.
Yeah. I will tell you something. I just ran into a kid who just graduated. Well, I've known this kid for a while, but he just graduated the Highway Patrol Academy. Now, I think that's probably the best academy. Probably,
definitely one of the toughest.
I would say this, probably the best one in the state, and then I'll even go this. I put that in top 5 in the country.
Easy.
Yeah, and but anyways, we were talking. Well, dude, they only graduated like 127 cadets. You know what I mean? They're having a hard time even keeping up with just retirements, bro.
Oh man.
But dorm life with the other cadets. How close did things come to boiling over?
It boiled over a couple of times.
People start throwing blows in there.
Yeah, I seen a couple guys get in fights, and then then they're turning and threatening everybody around to not say shit, and because then they're going to kick their ass, and it's like, oh man, come on, But again, man, I stayed out of trouble. Like you said, you knew me when I was young, man. I was always I'm nice to everybody, easygoing. I don't, I just, like I said, I was so focused on just getting through there, man. I wasn't going to let shit get in the way of me graduating. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to tell you something, dude. Like, I've always liked you. You were always cool. You're 1 year older than me, but you were always cool, dude. And you know what? I just remember you always looked older, but you were cool. But you kind of dressed preppy. Yeah. Remember you had like 501s, and then you had some Sperry topsiders.
Yeah, no, I went into the mod thing for a while because I was really into like Depeche Mode and that. Music,
dude, so Depeche Mode's still my favorite band, dude.
I'd wear the Creepers, the Cavaricis, and stuff back then, man. Yeah, the creeper shoes with the big old rubber soles on the bottom, Dude. That's why I look tall,
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you.
An extra inch and a half right there.
I used to wear those when I worked at the Sequoia Club as a busboy. Dude, I don't know what I was thinking, because they were the worst shoes on your feet.
Doing that job, yeah.
Dark humor saves lives. It really does.
Yeah.
What kind of academy bullshit kept you sane?
I've always been a clown. Anybody that that sees this podcast that knows me knows, even in the prison, I always found a way of lightening the situation, trying to make people laugh.
I was the same way, bro.
Right.
Same way.
And so, for instance, they let us smoke at the academy back then.
Wow.
And I actually was like smoking cigarettes. I was never a pack a day kind of guy, but I always have a pack of smokes, for just to have a cigarette here and there. And like as
Marlboro Reds, man.
No, I was a Marlboro Light guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I moved up and then I bumped up to Marlboro 27s after that.
All right.
But, it was, everybody had to run a mile. I forget what it was. You had to be able to ride a mile in under 10 minutes or,
Yeah.
It wasn't too hard, but not too easy, And I mean, I was obviously, I could do that easy. So the day that I tested, and my sergeant, we had a sergeant in charge of our company, like an actual correctional officer, sergeant.
Yeah.
And he would look over our company, but we had like a company commander who was another cadet in our group. And so I told him ahead of time I was going to do this. And he's like, I don't know what you're saying, but like he kind of, he's like, I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no,
Yeah.
So what I did is when they put us in so many, 10 people at a time, boom, run, and they're timing all of us. As soon as I took off, man, I pulled a cigarette out and I lit it, and I was running, man, and I'm puffing that cigarette, man, and people are like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And I come running by the first time, I'm all, "Sarge," and he's just like, he's like, "I don't know about that Uranga kid, man." He was smiling, man. He thought that shit was funny,
Hey, but you know what though? You do, because my academy was 19 weeks, because I went intensive, and dude, by the end of it, we're all just so burned out. I'm sure you were burned out after 6 weeks. You're just over it.
Yeah.
And, it's like you got to do something that breaks up the monotony. What I did, though, man, I ate, slept, lived, breathed it, man, because I was like, I do not want to go through this again.
Right.
And I saw a lot of guys get recycled.
And yeah, they would get recycled.
Because, they failed a test.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the
PC 832, I was so glad that I already had that.
Because that already gives you a little leg up.
That was the test that everybody was stressing on.
Yeah,
And they do it towards the end. So, man, all this thing you did for 4 or 5 weeks could be for nothing,
Yeah.
And when that time came for them to test, there was a few of us in that, academy, other guys that were like me, reserve cops or something, had already had their PC 832. And they let us go into the gym and just hang out while everybody else tested, and I just remember being so grateful for that. It's like, dude, 100%. Another funny thing that happened to me at the academy, I just want to tell the story.
No, go ahead.
This was my most embarrassing moment. PT training, it would rotate every week. Oh shit, this week on week 2 we have PT training first instead of going to classes, and so it was the step class, and most of those people are just trying to get the coordination down and never done it before, and you had to have your shorts, all just cotton shorts, cotton shirt with your cotton sweats and your pullover top. That's how you reported at your spot to check in for PT.
Got it.
And so you would come in, they would inspect you. Okay, classes start, you got 3 minutes. And so, okay, they would let you go to the side to the benches, and you peel off your pullover and take off your sweats. So now you're just in your shorts and t-shirt because you're going to be sweating your ass off, So I go and peel my clothes off, and I go back to where my step is. I'm standing there kind of about in the middle of the class. There's about 4 rows behind me, 3 or 4 rows in front of me. I hear a cadet behind me go, "Hey, Uranga, man, I like your shorts." And I look down, and I'm standing in my boxers. These like maroon paisley print fucking long boxers I had. I was in such a rush that morning. I didn't put my shorts on.
Yeah.
I just put on my sweats. And then when I walked over, I didn't even matter. I'm just like dropping my shit, like not even paying attention. I walk out there and I look down. I'm like, holy fucking, I walked back over real calmly, and I put my sweatpants on, and I was stuck with those, sweating my ass off.
Well, you're lucky you didn't get thrown out.
It happened right away, and then like the dude behind me told me before like the instructor had a chance to see me or anything. I was like, oh shit.
You won the Top Gun award. Did it boost your confidence, or did it quietly raise the stakes? Because I can tell you this: anytime you win something, it shines the spotlight on you, and that can be good and that can be bad.
Right. So in my situation, I really didn't give a shit.
Okay.
I didn't care at all, but I found reason to care.
Yeah.
And his name was Brian Wilson. This guy was in our company. I wonder where he's at today. I know he got to go straight to Corcoran One, and then I never seen him after that. I think he transferred out somewhere else. Total jarhead, military, down for the cause.
Oh yeah.
I mean, constantly screaming at other cadets, "What are you doing? You're out of formation." Blah blah blah. And he wasn't even our company commander, And this guy was.
There's guys like that. They're always just way
fucking annoying.
So gung ho.
He was just like, he was exhausting. Nobody liked him, and kind of a little shorter, sawed off dude with just his fucking chest flared out and just that.
Yeah, hey, bought into the hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah, he was in. He was gung ho, and bless his heart. So for me,
it was just beating him.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to. My week of range training was the third week, and they tell you on day one, you're sitting there in the classroom the whole day, and they're explaining this. You're going to have, the shotgun course. You're going to have the HK 9mm. You're going to have the Mini 14, and the block gun. The 40mm.
Oh yeah, yeah. That showed the wooden dowel thing, right?
Yeah, you gotta test with all those, and you gotta be proficient. And for those who are proficient enough, we give a Top Gun award to each company. Only one person out of each company. What does this guy do? Right after that, class, and I'm going to get that award. I'm going to get that award. Fuck, I've shot so many. I've shot every rifle known to man. I've shot hundreds of thousands of rounds. I know this shit.
So you're like,
So I'm like, whatever, man. So through the week, we're training, and then it comes to the last 2 days where we start doing the firing courses. Shotgun was easy. Oh, and the Smith and at the time Smith and Wesson revolver 38.
Oh yeah,
bro, opening that.
Oh yeah, wheel gun. Yeah.
Boom, old school. And I liked it, man. Just a big old piece of metal out there, just nice and heavy. So I had went through that course, shot perfect. Went through shotgun was easy, that was perfect. The block gun was just a matter of shooting it in the right direction, So on the last,
did they teach you how to like skip them off?
Right.
Yeah.
The block gun has about 8 to 10 round pellets, but they're flat on either side. But they're all stuck together, and you shoot them out. You hit the ground. If there's 8-10 guys fighting, shoot. Try to hit about 4 or 5 feet on the ground in front of them, and they hit, and they just explode, and hit every day. I've talked to inmates that said that being hit by one is like comparable to being hit by like maybe a 80-mile-an-hour fastball.
No, I would tell you this for the folks at home. In fact, I think they got rid of that. I don't even think they let
the block guns. They got rid of.
Yeah, because there's some people that have gotten really jacked up by
I've
those
seen them like rip people up, because even though they were round, they were still flat on one side, so they had edges.
When
they would skip and spin, they'd bust people up. They'd go flying. Oh shit, And so it came to the last day, and he was in the group ahead of me. The 3 guys, he was in a room with 3 officers. Those 3 guys came over to me and they said, "Hey, Uranga,
you got to beat him.
We're not fucking trying to put any pressure on you, man, but if you can beat this guy, we're gonna hook you up, dude. We'll find a way to fucking, but dude, please, And it's like, I don't care about this, man. I'm trying to shoot the best I can. Okay.
Yeah.
A perfect score with the Mini 14 was a 125, and it was a course of fire, where you're standing, kneeling on your belly at 50 yards, at 100 yards. 50 yards wasn't shit. Put it easy.
And for the folks of the home, this Mini 14, it's actually a very accurate weapon, and so. as long as you sight it up properly,
Right.
you can hit stuff from 100 yards away
Yeah,
easily.
easily.
And you know, it's that 223 round is nasty.
Very much.
And if it hits you, you're probably gonna die.
just the velocity from the round alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
bullet
2,900 feet per second. It's moving, dude.
I mean, it's a bullet that's not much bigger than a 22.
Yeah.
But it's because it's coming so fast, it fucks you up, you know?
Well, you know, they say this. Do you know that most people, when they're shot with a Mini 14, for about 2 to 3 seconds, they don't know it.
They don't realize it, right?
Because it goes so fast.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, and I put this out on one of my other episodes. Do you know why people fall down on the ground when they get shot? Because they saw it in a movie.
Oh,
Honestly.
yeah.
It's the psychological thing.
Yeah.
I'm shot.
Boom.
I
Oh.
should lay down.
Yeah.
Unless you take a headshot or a heart shot or a serious organ
Yeah,
or
maybe your
something
spine,
or spine, you can actually stand up. But people have been conditioned to think, I'm shot, I need to lay down.
Oh man, in prison they're conditioned to the sound, boom, boom, and
Yeah.
a whole yard falls down,
Well,
whether they're shot or not. You know, fucking get out.
Well, because nobody wants to get shot
No,
either.
man,
A, by those wood dells, or B, by a, if worst case,
Right.
that Mini 14,
Right.
that will mess your day up. You know what I mean?
So this guy, he's in the group ahead of me, and all we have is the Mini 14 gun, and at that point, him and I are the only two perfect shots.
Comes down to you too.
Everybody else has, you know, pulled a few shots on the pistol, messed up with the shotgun, whatever, you know. So it's coming down to just him and I.
I'm sure he's like, man, you're Uranga, this is mine.
You know, he wasn't talking shit to me. He really wasn't,
okay.
you know, but
All
he
right.
was like, I'm going to take. So, like I said, a perfect score was a 125 in that course of fire. And he goes through his course, you know, my group is standing back waiting. Go up there counting his target. You know, he takes his target off and he comes walking back with it and he's smiling. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker shot perfect, you know. He comes walking by and his score says 124.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But I mean, that's just like, I mean, people are like barely shooting 90, you know,
Yeah,
trying to pass, you know.
Are you bothered by leg veins of any size, or is leg swelling or pain bugging you or someone you know? I would recommend that you make an appointment with our friends at Sequoia Vein and Wound to take care of it. With a friendly bilingual staff and their years of experience, they are happy to help resolve those issues. Give them a call to get a consult at 559-713-6478 and tell them that Jay Mac sent you.
And I hadn't shot perfect all week. I was shooting at 123, 120, 118. So right there, I was like, okay, you know, fuck, I don't care. Why am I, you know? So he comes walking right by me, right by all of us. But right as he gets in front of me, he goes, let's see you beat that. And then that just...
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Okay,
all
now,
right.
now you fucking want me to care. Okay. So then I go up to the course of fire and I'm just concentrating. I'm taking my time, you know, and just I'm feeling every shot just coming off perfect, you know. I'm on the last part where I only have about 5 shots left. And I shoot this one round and then I just like immediately feel something like sizzling my arm, you know. The round had
the
kicked up
ejected.
and, you know, my arm's like this and that fucking round is laying right on my arm, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, like that some bitch was hot, you know.
Oh, it is hot.
And so I shook that off, you know, and I, you know, okay, let me get back, you know, breathing. Shh, boom, I popped the next round. It stovetpipes, you know, it jams.
Oh, yeah.
Damn it, you know. So right when that happens, you got to raise your hand. Range safety comes over. He's like, okay, go ahead and clear it. You know, they showed us how. I'm doing everything real slow. Well, by this time, everybody's finishing. I still have another 3 or 4 shots to go. And now I'm the only one shooting left, you know. And so the range safety's like, go ahead and take your time, man. Stovepipe, you got extra time. Go ahead. I pull off those last 4 rounds, you know, just smooth and as clean as I can. So the sergeants and officers are up there counting. And this one sergeant up front, you know, he's in front of my target. He turns around, he goes, who's shooter number 3? I go, right here. He goes, congratulations, you're the only one that shot 125 today. Like all the guys that were room with, they all come running to me and they're high-fiving me and like picking me up and shit. And you could just see
Poor Wilson.
the blood. Fuck that guy. You could just see the blood drain out of his face. He was so just like he was very humbled after that. The last couple of weeks he just didn't say much.
When did you realize the weight of responsibility wasn't temporary but permanent? Because I think when we all come out of that academy, I think we all know academies are kind of bullshit, but when you get in the real world, your thought process has to change.
Yeah.
And I think for me, responsibility was something major that kind of landed on me like a ton of bricks. I don't know if it did you.
Well, you know what? It honestly didn't happen to me until I got to Corcoran 1.
Yeah, because Soledad was kind of...
Soledad was a very chill prison. It was level 2. What they did is with all the old joints like Soledad and San Quentin and... these are old prisons that had a lot of blind spots, 3 tiers high, I mean... You go from a third, you fall from a second tier, you might live,
Yeah, you fall from that third.
You're going to be fucked up. But the third tier, there's no living from up there unless you're a vegetable, But so what they did is, they started putting all the inmates that are like close to going home within a year or two in those places. So everybody's like chill, wanting to go home.
Yeah, they don't want to mess up because, you're close to hitting the streets. Yeah.
Right. And then they had level 3 guys there. But they were very close to becoming level 2s. And they were usually there for petty shit. There was no murderers, really there doing long time. And then to top it off, I worked on the level 2 yard, which was outside of the main big old prison part.
Thinking too, sex offenders, people like that.
Yeah, but people like that said that are, no, not necessarily, just people with like petty crimes, stealing and shit, they got a date. They're going to go home in a couple of years.
Thieves.
Or guys that have been down for a long time and they just did good time and now their points have come down and they're going to, have a chance to go home. Well, when I first started on that yard, there was actually a boxing ring on the yard.
Yeah.
And they had the weight pile, with these huge guys just getting bigger out there, it was just a thing. And what I loved about the boxing ring, which that was the only time in my career I ever saw it, was 2 inmates would have a beef, and everybody would hear it. Yeah. I would hear it from the inmates. Hey man, Jackson and fucking Stallard, they're going to fucking get down on Sunday. I'm like, no shit. Those 2 big motherfuckers. Oh, dude, I can't wait for that,
Yeah.
And sure enough, Sunday they would go to chow. Yard would open at 9 and usually right about 10, man. It's like if any inmates had a beef, they'd put the gloves on. And these 2 dudes, they got in there and they beat the shit out of each other. It was like one of the best fights I ever seen, And when it was over, like, they sat there and they hugged it out and they fucking high-fived each other and all their homies were around talking. And I just said to myself, man, these are men being men,
I would tell you this, and for the folks at home, they don't have weights in prison anymore.
Not anymore.
And so, because what was happening is these guys would go to the joint, get all buff and come out and then they were fighting cops.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of realized it, hey, we're creating warriors in here by letting these guys work out, so they pulled all those weights.
Right. Well, another big reason is that it's a lot easier to kill somebody with a 30-pound dumbbell, or I've seen even like a bar dip,
Oh, dude.
Anything,
a 5-pound weight in your hand, that'll do damage, dude.
If you're an inmate, first of all inmates, when they're in any kind of position where they're vulnerable, if you're doing a bar dip, or at that time, if you were doing bench, you had 4 or 5 of your homies standing around.
Yeah.
Because if dudes wanted to get you and you're sitting there on a bench press, all you gotta do is run up and get that bar and just shove it right down onto him,
Well, and we've all seen American Me, man. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Soledad was an old joint.
Yeah.
Did it feel dead, haunted? How did it feel?
I didn't get any creepy feelings there. I felt like it was very laxed. Inmates are always inmates. They still had the same attitudes. But, the worst setting ever, dorm settings,
Yeah.
It was in this building that held about 120 inmates, and they were all double bunked, small walkways to get through, just...
And for the folks at home,
summertime,
that means they're not in a cell. So they're out, they're like almost, it looks like a gymnasium.
A
almost.
gymnasium,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And so, number one, a lot of assaults do occur in normally those places.
Yeah.
But you're right, man. And here's the problem too. What do you got? Couple of COs for 125. Yeah,
Two of us.
125,000.
Yeah,
125
I mean,
guys.
the only thing
yeah.
we could do is just dump our pepper spray cans in the area and
Yeah.
hope that we don't get sucker punched from behind. You know.
Yeah.
It's the worst setting, but yet again, that's why you're in a level 2
Yeah.
setup. You know,
Yeah,
a lot
'cause-
of these guys are not trying to fuck up. You know, they're trying to get home.
Yeah, exactly. Your first time working nights. What happens to your mind at like 3 a.m. inside those walls? Dude, I tell you what, I worked at Bob Wiley for a year, but I worked at EdSeg. I wasn't CDC, but I can sympathize with what you guys. I had all those NLR dudes in there,
Oh, dude.
hard hitting AB dudes.
Yeah.
And, dude, we used to call it the witching hour. 3 a.m., bro.
Yeah.
So from 3 a.m. to 7, dude, literally, I would just walk just to try to keep myself to stay awake, bro.
Yeah, I
It
would
was
do the
horrible.
same. I never wanted to leave my partner alone in the building, but I would just, you know, I'd go stand outside. The pull-up bars were right nearby, so I would go do like 10 pull-ups. I'd do push-ups. I got in a mode there of every time I felt tired, I would do 50 push-ups.
Yeah.
Every time I was sitting there and I was starting to feel my eyes droop, I would get up and I would either go to the bathroom or right there in the office where my partner was, you know, somewhere safe. And I'd just knock out 50 real quick. And that would work for about 20 minutes, and then I'd fucking tired again. You know, because it's just so.
No, it is. It's
so
horrible,
quiet,
dude.
man.
I mean, and we used to say this. The clock looks like it's going backwards, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh my God, it's only been 5 minutes since the last time I fucking looked at it. Holy shit.
But you know what happened to me? My third day on the job, I found an inmate hanging in a cell that was already dead. So it made me a lot more vigilant to do my cell checks.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, because there's some guys got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
And so I would, dude, every 30 minutes, dude, I was
Yeah.
going and I was doing a cell check because I was just like, I do not want that to happen on my watch.
Right.
And dude, you would not believe how many medical emergencies I had to call in. I'd go by a cell. Some guys just slit his wrist with a little bitty razor that he got from his razor.
Yeah, no, but they can do it, man.
And so I'd have stuff like that, or some dude trying to make a noose out of his bed sheet.
Yeah.
And so we were always
Inmates are extremely smart, man. People don't realize
if
these-
they would
these
use their gifts for good.
Exactly.
They a lot of these guys would be brilliant.
I mean, you know, people forget these guys are plumbers, electricians. They're handy. They know how to do shit. You know, I walked into an inmate cell one time, you know, and in a cell you got 2 inmates and you know, you have only 2 outlets, so there's like 4 plugs. So usually one inmate gets, you know, a fan, a plug for his fan, and maybe a plug for his TV. You know, well, the other inmate, you know, he wants his TV and his fan pointed on him. You know, well, fuck, how are we gonna boil our water now? I seen an inmate one time. I went into his house and I just could not believe he had made, you know, those the adapters that you put into a plug and it gives you 3 more plugs.
Yeah.
He made one of those out of cardboard, tape, and paper clips.
Wow.
And he had all his other shit plugged in. And I looked at him, I said, dude, you know, I got to take that, right? No, man, come on, man. I fucking worked a long time on that. I said, bro, we are talking a fucking major fire hazard, man.
You gotta
Dude,
burn this
I've been
place
using
down.
that shit for 6 months. I know what I'm doing and this and that. I was like, I'm sorry, bro. I can't. I have to take it. You know?
Yeah.
Fucked up, Uranga, man. You know, I'm just going to make another one. Yeah, I know, man. But I was just like, and I went around showing it to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, look at this.
And
This
think
fucking
about
shit
if
works.
somebody came to me today and said, make one of those, I wouldn't know how to do it.
I'd be like, okay, let's take a trip to the store. I'll fucking buy one.
Well, and
Blow.
like me, I got a master's degree, but I don't know how to do that,
Oh,
dude.
no, man. Yeah.
You only had 2 alarms in 6 months.
Yeah.
Did that silence make you uneasy? Because
Well, the very first time was about, I was only at Soledad for right under 7 months, about six and a half months.
so you got out of there as quickly.
I got
as
out of there pretty
possible.
quick.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first time was about 3 months in. Boo! And my first thought was, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And my partner goes, dude, that's an alarm in building 3. You got to go. You're the responding cop, you know. There's always one cop that stays in the building, another one that takes off. So I ran over there, and by the time I get there, they're coming out of the building. They're waving off.
Yeah.
Anytime
False
there's a
alarm.
false alarm, you right away want to run outside and start waving your hands. So some cop isn't running, and he fucking hits a gopher hole and tears his shit up for nothing. And so then you just kind of slow it down, but you still go all the way there and make sure shit's good. But and then again a little bit before I left, another false alarm, and I was just like, this is. It was pretty gravy, and that was probably some cop that went to the bathroom, and when he took his belt off to
hit the wrong button,
button gets tripped, so that's
how lonely does the job get when you're wide awake and the world is asleep, dude? Isn't it a weird feeling? It's like, I used to say this. I used to feel like a vampire, dude. Yeah. Because you know what? Everybody else is asleep. We're awake. When we're going home to go to sleep, the world's waking up.
You know what was even worse for me than that? Like, our first watch was from 10:30 at night to 6:30 next morning. And, I've just been there all night. I just want to freaking get home, And, 6 o'clock, phone rings. Hey, Uranga. This is Sergeant Maldonado. You're going to be going over to A2, Building 2. Fuck. I'm fucking stuck here for another 8 hours, man.
Oh, that's right. They would do 16s. That's right. And forced overtime.
Yeah. And I didn't bring fucking enough food. So now I'm going to be fucking, getting one of my meal tickets and trying to get some food from the fucking snack bar, to
but you know what, dude? I know. I have a buddy of mine. He just retired from CDC, and then I got another buddy. He retired a couple years back, but they would say the same stuff, dude. A 416, dude. That's a rough.
Bro, you know what the worst part was? The absolute worst shifts that I ever worked, and I really tried to keep them to a minimum, was working first to second watch, because you've been there all night and it's dead. Right, there's just nothing going on.
And then in the morning, everything's
and
going.
And then halfway through your shift, all the inmates are getting up and shit. Other cops are showing up to work, and they got fucking Starbucks, and they're all, morning, how you doing? And I'm just like, I've fucking been here all night. I'm a fucking zombie, just. And then, you get doing that. Like, they would never let us work more than 3 16s in a row. So you could work 16, 16, and then an 8, and then you could work another 16, 16, And I got doing that. I got into that trap, It's like, dude, the money's great. I want to fucking buy this. I want to buy that. And, after about doing it for a few days, you're like walking around. There's like this haze, like this,
dude, it is
fog. And I sit there and think, like, how the fuck do we do this day in and day out and still make like critical decisions,
Dude, it's so funny you say that, dude. Man. You know what? I will take this. Some guys love graveyards, and those that do,
absolutely,
God bless them.
Yeah,
I was a day shift dweeb, dude. I like to work during the day. I like to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And dude, the times I had to work graveyards, dude, it was brutal, dude. Brutal, dude.
I hated it. I hated it too.
What finally made you say, I need out of here, or I need more,
Out of Soledad?
Yeah.
Well, it really wasn't that. I mean, I liked Soledad. I was trying to get back home.
Yeah, you want to get close to the wife and kid.
It's amazing to me how much my father has influenced like every decision in my life, because, see, he was the one that helped me get into Kingsburg with knowing Chief Taylor. When I first was working at Kauai. Oh no, I'm sorry. When I was working at Kingsburg, my dad started working as a janitor at the prison at Corcoran.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he started working there in the hospital inside of Corcoran 1, the ACH hospital. And he was the one that was telling me, he's like, son, you don't need to work the streets, man. I mean, I know it's prison, but these guys, they make great money, man. And a lot of times they're just sitting around reading the newspaper, while the inmates are off at school. And, and he was the one that talked me into it. And I said, Dad, okay, I'll put in my application. And
see what happens.
And if it's meant to be, if I get hired by Fresno, I was applying for Visalia. If I get hired before, then that's where I'm going. If CDC calls first, then I'm going. Well, it took about a year, and CDC called. I went through all the interviews and whatnot, the psychiatric, all that. And I got my academy date. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to try. And this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know? So I didn't, feel like it was something I was looking for. It just kind of like landed on my lap. And I just kind of went with it. You know, every one of my good friends I went to school with, they're like, dude, you're the last person in the world I would have pictured being.
Yeah, but you know what, dude?
You know?
And I always say this, man, and I just think there's something that things happen for a reason, brother.
Exactly.
And, you know, I mean, dude, all through the years, people are like, dude, you were a cop, dude? And I'm like, hey, bro, just because I was living over there by the bowling alley doesn't mean I was robbing liquor stores, man.
Right,
but, you know, I think it gave me an edge to me that a lot of my partners didn't.
Right.
And then, you know, also even growing up, man, I mean, dude, I lived in bad neighborhoods my whole life, so I was used to fighting already. So yeah, it didn't freak me out like it did a lot of people.
Yeah.
Your first night at Corcoran, you had 3 real incidents. Did you realize at once you were in? Did you ever feel like, oh man, I'm over my head, or were you like?
I felt that exactly. I was like, oh my God, I drove home that first night, and I was like, this is really a lot different from Soledad. You know, this is fucking like.
Yeah, that they always say that's a kill house. Yeah.
Well, you know, it was rock and rolling at the time, man, for sure. You know, and 95, it was still Corcoran 1 was known, man. Inmates,
well, I was going to ask you this:
knew.
is it still the worst ones are like Corcoran 1 and then like Pelican Bay?
You have like what's considered the death penalty inmates. They're like like level 5. You know,
yeah.
But level 4 is pretty much the worst. Level 4 mainline.
I was going to say, you know, they don't even have death row. They got rid of it. All those guys are on the main line now.
I didn't
Yeah.
freaking know that.
In fact, one of the big
they still carry the sentence, but they're just
but one of the big time hard hitting NLR dudes from here, actually from Ivanhoe, they took him off death row, and him and some guys, they just shanked another inmate and killed him. And you know, it's like, these guys should not be on a main line.
No.
Right?
No.
They need to be in a shoe. and you know, but and I think here's the tough part about CDC. I respect the people that do the job, because guess what? It ain't an easy gig. But dude, it's become so political, dude. And I mean, they're closing down joints. They're releasing inmates back to the streets. And you know, now we don't have a death row. And you know this, man. There's no way that anybody, in my opinion, if you've been classified as validated as a true gang member, I don't think you need to be on a main line. I think you need to be in a shoe. And, you know, and that's the tough part. But yeah, when I read that they got rid of death row, I'm like, what are we doing here? And you know this, even now, if somebody gets sentenced to death, we got a moratorium. They're not going to put anybody to death, especially not with this governor. He's a mess. Well, I am a master storyteller, and I got a story for you.
Okay.
All right. So I was working with my good buddy Gilbert Gibby Torres.
I saw the interview.
Okay, and me and him,
guy. Awesome dude,
great dude, and he's my brother. I mean, me and this guy, we went to the academy together. We worked patrol together. We worked gangs together. We worked schools together.
I got that from.
I mean, I love him, exactly. Right? But anyways, we get dispatched out to a very nice area right there by COS, kind of where the old Merle's was,
right across the street.
Yeah, and for the folks at home, this comes off of a major thoroughfare. It's across the street from a college, but this area, it's called Willow Glen, and it's got very nice homes. And but anyways, this homeless cat is going down the street, and he's just lifting up people's trash cans, and then he just throws everything out into the road to get whatever he wants, and then he moves on to the next trash can. So when I pull up, this whole street's just littered with garbage, right? And we've dealt with this guy about 100 or 200 times. He's tall. He's got this red hair, just big, bushy, mangy hair. He's got this beard. He hasn't showered in 6 months. I mean, the smell from me to you, bro, it'll knock you over. Yeah. And I've already fought this guy more than probably a dozen times. And so I walk up, and I know kind of how to talk to him. And I was like, "Hey, brother, you can't keep doing this. Look at this street, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you can't do this, bro. You got to split, dude. And I don't know a lot, but that's me trying to be cool, right? I'm not screaming. I'm not using profanity, but he's on this particular day.
Right.
So immediately he's like, man, fuck you, motherfucker. So I kind of square up because I'm thinking, all right, he's coming. And all of a sudden he goes, I'm going to kill you. And so he takes one step, man, and I just went boom, and I just drilled him as hard as I could right in the nose. Wow.
That's the shot, man.
Dude, down he goes. And so, you know, then I get on top of him, hook him up. Well, Gibby comes skidding up, and so I'm like, but you know, there's people with money that live in this area. So this guy comes out and he's like, officers, you guys leave him alone. Well, this crazy dude starts just using the most god awful language at this guy. And so the guy goes, what did he say? And I was like, you don't want to hear it, sir. But this bad guy reiterates it, you know. Yeah. You know, I think it was like, you know, go do your wife where the sun don't shine, right? Yeah. And just horrible language. So we're having to fight this dude, and I just remember this. It's a hot day, and the smell of BO and just stink. And dude, I mean, I could just feel it on me. And, you know, it's horrible, dude. So we get him cuffed. I'm like, Gibby, let's get him to his feet. So we get him to his feet. We drag him over to the car. I finally go get some sanitizer for my hands. And then I put on some latex. Yeah. So then I put on some latex gloves. And then I search him, make sure he doesn't have, put him in the car. But dude, it's a 6-mile drive from here to Bob Wiley. And so this guy cusses nonstop for the whole drive out there. And, you know, he's spitting all over my back of my car. Yeah. You know, he's threatening to kill me and kill everybody. Well, I get to the jail, and so I hit this button, and I'm like, hey, I got a real violent guy. You guys send some deputies. And so that's the deputies. That's their good time, dude. So they all come out. They put these like leather black gloves on, and I'm like, boys, let's just get him out of the car. So we get him out, bring him in, and he immediately starts kicking and fighting. So they just take him. I go, let me just get my hooks, right? So I get my handcuffs. So Gibby was primary. Gibby writes a report that's about this big, right? All right. I do like a full 3-page report because I'm like, this all happened. Every detail. Yeah, this all happened. And I wanted to show he's out of control. He's threatening to kill. You know, we had to fight him. And then now, you know, he wanted to fight the deputies. You know, he's public enemy number 1. So we go to court. And immediately his the public defender goes to Gibby, Officer Torres, why did you only write 5 lines in your report? And I told Gib, I go, I even thought you were lying and I was there. But this is how Gibby this is how he would testify. Was my client violent? And he would go, yes. So now they go, why is your report only 5 lines? And Officer McWilliams wrote this 3-page book. And Officer Torres Gibby goes, I would like to apologize. I wasn't feeling well that day. But anyways, so obviously the suspect gets convicted. And, you know, so we have him like, you know, assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, you know, terrorist threats, all this stuff, right? So now they're going to do sentencing. And so they said, stand up, sir. Judge is going to address you. Before the judge could say a word, this suspect goes into a 5-minute tirade just talks about MFs everybody in the room, talks about killing everybody in the room. Finally, the judge goes, I'm going to go ahead and recommend 6 months at Atascadero State. And we never saw him again. Yeah. But I took inmates out there. Yeah, but it became a legend just because Gibby was, you know, we wrote this dog shit report. Yeah. But
I would have loved to have been in court hearing him say,
Oh,
really wasn't feeling good.
And you know what's so great about that? Somebody actually got they got the transcript of this guy using all this profanity, And dude, each paragraph's like this long of him just
Just
going
ranting,
off,
just going.
just wigging out.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because once he got out of Atascadero, we were right back into
Right out
another
there.
fight with this
Same
guy
thing, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at to this day, but he's a mess.
Well, hopefully he's not around Willow Glen emptying the fucking trash cans.
When did it hit you? This prison eats people, because it does.
I learned some really good lessons from some really good, what we call,
Old school
OG cops.
Oh yeah. Guys have been there since it's opened, and
I would say one of the lessons I learned fairly early, just maybe about a year in, I was working. It was probably my first couple days working as a gunner in a control booth in what is considered a 270 unit. And the reason they call it a 270 is because you're in this pod in the middle, and the angle you see is 270.
Oh, 270 degrees. Yes, yes.
They have ones that are 180s that are smaller, where you keep a lot of your locked up or shoot level 4 kind of program.
Yeah, because you can keep a better eye on them.
Yeah, you can actually see into most cells. 270 is bigger, and I've been working with this OG named Oscar Maldonado. His nickname was the Hedgehog, and he was just this short, stocky Hispanic guy that just was very soft-spoken, but there was something about him that you just knew you just don't fuck with this guy. And even the inmates could feel that, And so I'm his gunner in his control booth. He's sitting at this panel just opening doors for inmates wanting to come in. They're all coming in from the yard or whatever. We're doing yard recall. And so the inmates will stand in front of their door and they yell out sometimes, 232 or 157, and you're just at this panel and you're hitting those buttons, so they can go into the house.
Pop their doors open.
Yeah. And this one guy's not wanting to lock up. He's just wanting to kick it over there, by his homie's cell. And I knew he lived upstairs, so I knew he wasn't in the right spot. And now we're, everybody's just about locked up. Hey, man, you need to go lock it up. He ignores me. A minute later, hey, let's go in front of 157. Get your ass home, Still ignores me, And then I, yell a third time, hey, man, get your ass up to your cell, And he turns around. He's like, man, shut the fuck up, man. I'm fucking trying to handle business here. This and that. He starts disrespecting me. I'm fucking going already. Goddamn, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, fucking get moving. We're just having a shouting match, And he finally goes upstairs and gets all the way to his house. And Oscar lets him in. And then he looks right at me and he goes, are you going to let that guy talk to you like that?
Oh, yeah.
And I go, well, what the fuck am I going to do? Shoot him? He goes, no. He goes, but you can't let him talk to you like that, man.
Yeah, because if you let one, you're going to have to let all.
And I go, well, what am I supposed to do? He goes, well, you better figure it out because you're not going to be my gunner here longer if you don't. I go, okay, well, I'm asking you. If this was you, what would you do? He goes, well, I would take him outside and have a talk. I go, like now? He goes, right now is the perfect time. The yard is closed and nobody's out there.
Yeah. I
go, okay, I'll go outside. Are you're gonna pop him out? He goes, yeah, I'll just, he picked up the mic and said, inmate so-and-so report to the program office. That happens all the times. Inmates think, oh, there must be some paperwork or some legal law library letter that I get, and that happens all the time. They'll walk to the program office, they get their stuff. And he goes, now I'm going to pop him out. You just go wait outside and you have a talk with him. Okay. So when I'm the gunner, as soon as, I'm wearing my belt and everything, but once I get upstairs, all I had was my HK 9mm.
Yeah, because you don't need all that stuff. You don't need to wear it all up there.
So I go, put the weapon down, and I go over to my belt and I start to put it on, and I'm gonna get me a fucking baton and a gas and everything. And it was literally that moment from Star Wars where Yoda looks at Luke and goes, "Your weapons, you will not need them."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're not gonna need that shit, man." Just go out there and talk to him man to man.
Yeah.
And I go, what if this fucker turns on me? He goes, well, then you start fucking turning on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, hey, look, man, don't worry. This guy, I know him. He's not going to do shit. You're going to be all right. Okay. My heart's pounding out of my chest, you know? So I walk downstairs and I go out the building. Well, right out the door, you know, there's a port upstairs that Oscar can, you know, look at me through and kind of watch. I didn't know he was going to do that, but so I'm standing outside, you know, and you know, a couple minutes go by, and I'm just like, what am I gonna fucking tell this guy, you know, this and that, you know? And the door opens, and he comes out, you know, like he's headed to the program office, you know. And I just go, hey, and you know, he looks back and he sees me standing there, and he looks and he goes, what the fuck is this, you know? And I just walked to him and I said, look, man, I'm just gonna ask you this right now. Do you got a fucking problem with me? No, man, I ain't got a fucking problem with you. I said, well, it seems like you do. So I'm just saying this right now. If you do and you think it's that serious, we can deal with it right now. And after it's over, it's over. No, man, I don't want to get down like that. And then right then I see him look up, you know, and I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I said, all right, well, then the disrespect needs to stop, especially on the tiers. You want to yell at me one-on-one? Let's fucking do it all day. But don't be fucking yelling at me in front of the other inmates, for the other cop. Okay, CO, I got you, man. Okay, can I go back to the house now? I said, yeah, you can go. Oscar opens the door. But when I turned and looked, you know, he was standing right at that window with that fucking H&K right here. And it takes one pull to get it off the lanyard, and then boom.
Yeah.
You know? And, so, you know, I think at that point he was also testing me. You know, he definitely was testing me to see what I was going to do.
I will tell you something, man. I think everybody who's ever worked a facility has had those same things.
For sure.
I was a little meaner than you were, because I mean, I used to tell those dudes, this is your trophy. Come and get it. Come and get it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, man, because inside you guys at least have weapons. At Bob Wiley, all I had was a pair of keys and a radio.
Yeah.
So, dude, guess what?
Fuck.
We would just get them up, man. But, dude, it's like all those years of freestyle wrestling and all that, dude, it was invaluable, dude. So,
for sure.
I'd body slam dudes, crack their heads open, man, and then word got out. McWilliams, get your ass.
Yeah.
And, and I didn't want to be mean to those dudes, but John Q. Citizen does not realize when you're dealing with inmates like that, they always preach respect. I want to be respected. But if you let them, they will test you because they want to see what you're going to do.
What you're about. Exactly. Exactly, man.
Your first major riot. What do people never understand about that type of chaos?
Well, this is something like when I've watched a lot of your other podcasts, you know, there's so many dangerous situations, you know, and, you know, the first time you see a yard of like 300 dudes all start moving at once.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
all just start going.
People have shanks. And,
and you can always tell because when they're fighting, they're doing this. But when they're stabbing, it looks like their arms are flaring wildly because they got that weapon in their hands.
Yeah.
And the first time it happened to me, I was what's called a search and escort officer on the yard. So I'm basically just on the yard while the yard's out.
Yeah. And
just walking around. And my partner, I barely knew him at the time. He's a great guy named Doug Hansen. And, you know, it's amazing how you can work with somebody just a handful of times, but when you go through some crazy shit together,
it endears you to that person forever.
Bonded for life.
Yes.
You know? And we were walking around the track, and the track kind of covers half the yard. You know, basketball, and on the track is always the white dudes. All the ABs are out there. All the black dudes are on the basketball court, and all the Mexicans they're on the handball courts.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they even segregate themselves, you know, on the yards.
Yeah, because, and real fast, for the people at home, prisons is always segregated by race. period.
For sure.
Like if me and him were in prison right now, even though we know each other, we couldn't kick it. I got to be with the Woods.
Right.
You got to be over there with the
And you know what? That really
dudes.
seems to really be prominent in California, because I talked to inmates that do time back east, New York.
It's not like that.
No, like a black dude could sit with a Mexican dude and play chess at a table.
Yeah.
They don't trip on that. But
Yeah.
they would fucking trip on that big time
Yeah.
here in Cali. You
Yeah.
just don't do that, you know? And so we're walking around this track, and all of a sudden I look like fucking the black dudes aren't playing basketball. They're always fucking playing basketball.
I was just saying, you always feel it right before it's
you can
very,
feel the change. You can see the change,
yeah.
you know? And all of a sudden, the Mexican guys over there, they weren't fucking hitting the handball. They're standing in a group. And Doug goes,
I laugh because guess what? It doesn't matter if it's Joe. It doesn't matter if it's in the joint or if it doesn't matter on the street. You can
feel
always feel it when something's getting ready to happen.
The thing where you said, when you talked about that last call of the night, right? That bad juju. It's the same thing in prison, but it's not necessarily a call. It's always the last 30 minutes of a shift. You know, that's when the shit drops. And it was about around that time, you know, and boom, the yard just goes, and like the whites just rush the blacks, and the Mexicans are kind of staying back, but then they're kind of getting in it, and we're right in the middle of them. Okay. So, you know, back then we didn't have the ASP, the retractable baton. We just had the PR-24.
Oh yeah, the old school ones.
I love that thing, you know, like, and so I pull it out, and me and Doug just stand back to back. You know, they're not attacking us yet.
Yeah, but it could go that way real quick.
Right. And we're starting to try to make our way, but there's just inmates fighting everywhere. So they start.
I laugh because it's just like out of the movies.
Complete chaos, man. Complete chaos. We're not even involved, but we're there. So now we are, you know, and pretty soon a couple of them turn off and start coming towards us. And I would feel Doug lunging forward, you know, hitting somebody, but then I would jump back so that I would feel his back against me again, you know, knowing that we're still together.
Where's your tower guy?
Okay, I'm getting to that. I'm talking, this is like just 10 seconds in.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
And I start fucking swinging my baton, and I hit a couple guys, you know, and you know, my adrenaline's through the roof, you know, and at one point I had swung the baton so many times and hit a few guys that I started feeling my arm go numb.
I was going to say, too, here's another thing. People don't realize you tire out quick.
Yeah, especially when your adrenaline's kicking, you know, like that's taking energy from you. I literally put my baton in my left hand and started swinging it, you know, and right when I did that, that's when the first time I thought, oh, fuck, I think we're in trouble, you know? Right as I thought that, it was just like a boom, zip, okay, because we're right in the middle of the yard, and at that time they had the trash dumpsters for each building in front of the building. Later on, they moved them off the yard because they were finding the inmates were hiding weapons and it's too easy to hide shit. But it was an OG Hispanic female cop that was up in that gun tower that day, and I don't remember her name, but she popped 2 rounds across the yard into one of the building's dumpsters where there was nobody out there, so wouldn't get a chance of ricochet or anything like that. But it was just like we were standing.
It'll get people's attention.
We were standing right underneath her line of fire, so it was the first time I heard a bullet zip. Not just the bang. And then it was also the first time I realized it was the first time I had ever heard a weapon fired without my ear protection on.
Oh, that's loud.
And
dude.
I was like, God damn, that was fucking so loud. Holy shit. I mean, I almost jumped on the fucking ground.
I always say this, a 223 is loud.
The explosion is just massive.
And you know, and here's another thing. I'll bet most of those inmates dropped after
Everyone did.
Yeah, I was going to say, because everybody knows that sound, and you know this. Nobody wants to get shot with that Mini 14.
Every single inmate. It was just like a boom. Everybody on the ground, and I stood there for like a second, and I just heard my partner Doug go, "Run!" and he grabbed me right here by my collar as he was saying that, "Run!" and jerked me, and like I almost fell down. Like you know how like you're running, you start to go over.
Oh yeah.
And I caught my balance, and I'm running directly behind him, and we're just running through a sea of inmates that are laying on the ground.
Wow.
And I'm just thinking, oh fuck, please, not one of you, please just don't do it. You know, like,
But yeah, you know
any
what?
one of them could have just stuck their arm out.
I know,
and just
but
dumped us, and
I
we
will
just
tell you
boom,
this
fuck.
though. After that, I doubt you'd have to be one dumb idiot to do that. Because I tell you something, I think
no.
that next one she would have
She would have put him to
I was
the
going to
ground.
say she'd have dropped him, and
Yeah.
you know, and God, I don't know who she was, but wherever she's at, God
save
bless
her
her,
ass,
man.
yeah.
God bless her,
Yeah,
dude.
we went running into like the closest building at the time, you know, for safety. And the gunners are at the windows, you know, and they have their weapons pointed. And the gunner in this one building is like, run in here, you know, and you know, we go running in there. And as soon as we run in, you know, Doug grabs me and he's looking me up and down. He spins me around. And I'm like, what are you fucking doing? He's like, he's like, fucking making like, you're sure not stabbed, you know. He was like so fucking, I was like, I'm fine, man, I think. And then I started looking, you know, it's like, oh shit.
Hey, you know what though? I've been in multiple situations where we've done that. You look each other over real fast.
Oh, yeah,
Because guess what? When you got your adrenaline pinging,
Yeah, I wouldn't
you were
know.
not going to feel it.
I
You were
wouldn't
not
known.
going to feel it. How did Officer Johnson save your career and maybe your life early on?
Okay, so it was I was working in a building, and this guy, he was a search and escort officer, so he was working on the yard. Alarm goes in the building right next to me. Okay, and I go running over there, and there's the two cops fighting in one area with a couple of inmates. Okay, but there's these other two inmates to the left. As soon as I run in the building, and they're just going at it. One guy's on top of the other, just wailing on him, you know, and it was a white guy on the bottom, is a black dude on top. So I ran up and I'm all, get off him, and I just whap, you know, hit him like right. I tried to go for the hip because they say you can't hit in the kidney, that kills them, you know. Hitting him in the ass cheek or thigh is gonna do nothing. So you know,
That
he's
hip
like,
bone?
that hip
Yeah,
right there, bro.
yeah.
Bop. So I mean, first shot, boop, I hit him right there. He rolled off. So as he started to roll off, the other cat he was trying to go at him. So like I kind of jumped and grabbed him by the throat, and I'm fucking stop now, you know. And the other guy's trying to roll and get away already. This guy grabs my nuts.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. And I've been hitting the nuts with a baseball before, you know, but when somebody has both of them in their palm,
I've been there,
you know?
dude. Hey, it's not a good feeling.
I was like, oh! And I had him by the throat, and I fucking told him, let go. And I had the short end of the PR-24, and I sat up, and I went to break every one of his fucking teeth
Oh, yeah. And it
through the
probably
back of
was.
his fucking throat. And I went, and I was like I couldn't, and then I, like, something didn't happen, and I fucking went to hit him again, and I looked back, and this guy Johnson had the back of my baton.
Yeah.
No, dude, no. And I just rolled off, and the dude turned right around and fucking got on his stomach, and this guy Johnson hooked him up, and I just rolled off, and I just started fucking throwing up right
Well, I was
there.
just saying, you know what? I've been there, and like, I don't know about you, man, but I had like a really bad stomach ache. You know,
I felt that for a second, and then when I went to stand up, and I kind of walked to the corner. I was going to get a drink of water, and I just vomited right there.
Yeah.
And then the fucking inmates that saw that never let me fucking live that shit down. They're
Well,
like, oh yeah, Uranga is fucking throwing up, and oh, fuck you. I had never felt that before in my life. Hope I never feel it again.
Oh no, I know it's a scary feeling, is what it is.
I mean, yeah, he saved my job that day because
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, if you would have done serious damage,
Yeah.
now you're gonna have the bosses coming after you.
and every inmate in there would have fucking told. Or, you know, they would, you know.
You worked in the Charles Manson unit. What was the psychological weight of that assignment, being around those weird cats?
Well, you know what? It was something when I was still new there at Quirk and One, and I got assigned there for 2 months, and you had to like do a rotation. You know, you had to do like 2 months on when you first get there. You know, you had to do 2 months on first, 2 months on second, 2 months on third, and then they started moving you around to different programs. Hey, you're going to go work in the hospital this week. You're going to go work level 3 this week. You're going to go over to receiving and release. And they were good about training there, especially the new cops coming in. They wanted them to be everywhere so that you had a taste of everything. That way, if you get called there, you kind of know what you're doing. And, oh shit, I'm going to be going into PHU, man, protected housing unit. That's where Manson, Juan Corona, all these,
Night Stalker.
Yeah. Famous people there, know. And so I go in there and I see Manson for the first time.
I mean, that shriveled up old man, dude. He looked horrible.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, and even then in 95, he was still probably in his 60s then, maybe. I'm not sure. But to see him for the first time, I was working at
you expect something. It's a letdown, is what it is.
The guy's like barely 5 foot tall, itty bitty,
tiny dude.
And I don't know what that condition's called. I guess bipolar, maybe, where you're talking like, "Hey, Jay, man, I really like that color of your vest there. That fucking color of green. It's really nice. The sky in New Orleans, where there's beautiful greenery there, and this and that, and everything he says,
it just leads to the next thing,
something else, and you're sitting there for a while trying to realize if he's making a point, and then you realize he's not. He's just blah 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 blah. So I think he really was like a scatterbrain kind of dude. And
I would tell you this: I saw a TV show, and he was going up for parole. Every time he went
just
up
like
for,
that.
Well, this. And every time he went for parole, he wasn't going to get granted parole.
No.
But this was right before he's going, and they're talking to him, and they go, well, what are you going to do if they let you out? And he goes, if they left me out, there won't be anybody left. And I remember he denied, right?
You're staying.
Yeah, and I was like, but I remember watching that. And in fact, there was a really famous parole agent that was standing next to him. His name was Gary Mota. And
I know that name.
Yeah. And Gary, well, I think he was one of the dudes, the first COs out here at Corcoran. Uh-huh. And then he became a very famous parole agent here. And me and him got into a lot of hijinks together. But I remember looking at that, and, but he was dealing with him, back in the early 80s. Yeah. And then it's just weird to see. But you're right. It's like, even when you see like people like, like you said, Juan Corona, the Night Stalker, what happens is all those years in jail, they just become shriveled up.
They become shriveled up a little fucking.
They do. And they become really just shells of the people they were.
Yeah.
And, I never worked those things, but I worked at Seg, man, and I had to deal with some hard hitting dudes, dude.
I knew real killers in prison.
Oh, big time.
Manson was nothing more than a manipulator. He talked other people into doing his shit for him.
Yes, I would tell you something. There was 2 inmates here in town that I had to deal with them, and this when you're talking to somebody and you can just see pure evil in their eyes.
Oh yeah,
and this. They've killed people. They wouldn't hesitate to kill again. Mm-hmm. And in fact, one of them he's out there. He's one that just stabbed somebody to death in Q. But I look and I just think, man, John Q. Citizen has no concept of those people.
Oh, no.
Like me and you do.
No.
And I think too many bleeding hearts are like, man, these guys, they've been in prison for 20 years. Yeah. Let's let them out. I'm like, no, you don't understand. These people will be evil till the day they die.
Right.
And I think a lot of them are psychotic, are psychopaths. They don't look as people. It just looks at something to move out of the way, whether that's killing them, stabbing them, strangling them, whatever they can. Yeah. And so it's like, I think that's something that guys like us that experience that when you try to explain it to people that never worked or were never cops and never got to see this, I think people think I'm making this up. No. And I've told people, no, I've been around hard hitting people that's killed multiple people. They look at the world in a whole different way.
They do. Where that's very prevalent is in the hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
You have nurses, and they're nurses. They've been trained to care for people.
Correct.
And a lot of them have come from other places that they've worked. So they're used to hearing a person say, nurse, can I get this? And, oh, yeah, let me get that for you, And that makes it tough for us because I'm sitting there knowing that this guy's a fucking scumbag. And then to sit there and, hearing this person like, oh, can I get you something? This and they're fucking eating it up. I would go do hospital coverage here at Queer. We'd have an inmate or two sitting here, and I used to love to take that overtime. It's like, hey, if I'm working day shift, I'll pick up a third shift there, and then bam, I'm right here next to home, man. I'm fucking home an hour earlier than I usually am. And it was kind of boring. You're sitting there in the room, there's two of you watching this one guy, and the nurse comes in, is, oh, nurse, can I get a 7-Up? Oh, sure, yeah, no problem. She brings him one, hour or two later, hey, ma'am, can I get another 7-Up? Oh, sure, So I step up and I walk out behind her and I go, look, I know you're doing your job and I respect that. But this guy, where he lives, he doesn't get fucking soda ever, okay? And he is trying to get as much out of you as he can. I said, he just asked her for some ice cream too. I don't get no fucking ice cream in prison,
Yeah.
And so... she gave me this look like, well, it's not a big deal. We have plenty of them. I was just like, oh, fuck, man. There's that difference, man.
There is.
Not fucking knowing, and you're just not knowing this person's fucking.
I don't know if you saw my last episode, but dude, they talked about inmate, met a chick at SATF, and then set her on fire and burned her ears off, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
that's
like,
right.
That's what I tell people. It's like, these people are evil.
Yeah.
And now, are we going to generalize and say all of them? No. I think some can be rehabilitated at a lower level.
Right.
But your hard-hitting gangster or your hard-hitting person that's killed people, there's no rehabilitating those people. No, they will be that way forever.
Yeah.
The so-called gladiator fights.
Okay.
What really happened and who paid the price?
I would say that us at Core 1 at the time, the officers were the ones that paid the price for that reputation.
Yeah.
I was there. I never once seen a fucking gladiator fight. I never once seen a fucking setup. Now, you would be working in the security housing units and two northerners would come in and they're up on the top tier. And there's only one other northerner on that tier, and the other 8-10 inmates are all Southsiders.
Yeah, so that's just, that right there is already setting it up that it's going to kick off.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to kick off.
We had what was called a tier clearance, okay? They write their name down. Are you okay to go out on this yard with all the people on your tier? And they're not going to be a punk. They're going to be like, fuck yeah, I can go,
Yeah, because even if they think it's dangerous, nobody wants to look soft.
Oh, no, I don't want to go out.
Correct.
Right? So it wasn't that I never seen no kind of betting on fire. Oh, I bet you this and but
or popping doors on purpose to let guys. None of that.
I've never seen that shit either. But did we know some of those fights were going to likely jump?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You know this. You put 5 Southerners and 3 Northerners in a room. Those 5 Southerners are going to jump that Northerner.
They're going to get down.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's probably not even a thing where they're pissed at each other right then. They know that if they don't do something, their homies on other yards are going to hear like, hey, man, we heard you've been fucking shacking up in the same house with these dudes. And
you're not doing nothing.
Fucking okay with it?
Yeah.
No, man, you better do something or else something's going to get done to you.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, even on the streets, I worked gangs for 4 years, bro, and we were out there dealing with the worst of the worst, dude. And I tell people this, man, gangsters, the hard-hitting ones, dude, they will drop. I mean, if a Northerner is walking all flamed out with red stuff on and he sees somebody with blue, if he's got a pistola or a filetto, somebody's getting shot or stabbed.
Yeah.
That is going to happen.
Right.
And people would look at me like I was nuts. And I'd be like, listen, this is the lifestyle that they chose. You guys don't realize this. Northerner, Southerner, from Visalia, may even went to school together, may even been cool together. They get to the prison, whether they want to or not. They're sworn enemies now. It's going to happen.
And I seen fucking weak-ass inmates coming in, early on when they're young, 20 years old. you know, fucking DUI, no tattoos, you know.
Oh yeah.
But they're fucking influenced, you know. And this is where I feel like CDC's system is broken, you know. Like I heard not too long ago, they just raised the points system like all the way to 60 points. And, you know, I think the most you could have before then was like 45 or 50. And if you lose...
And for the folks that don't real fast, when he says points, that's what would validate somebody as a gang member.
Or level 3, level 2, level 1, you know.
And I would tell you something, it is broke. And especially, you're right, 20-year-old hits the yard, dude, whoever gets him, before you know it, he's going to have that 1-4, that 1-3 tatted on him. And, or, you know.
I seen the same fucking J-Cat about 10 years later on a different yard, fucking completely tattooed. He's never going home. Yeah. Caught a few more cases there for stabbing, fucking attempted murder. That's it, man. Your points are up. You know, attempted murder, a Division I like that, it's like 27 points, bro. You ain't fucking.
Well, and you know what? And that is when you see these young kids. Let's say a young kid goes in at 20. Say he's got a 7 to 10 year bit. The minute he joins that gang, they're handing him the shank and go shank that dude.
Exactly.
So now he picks up a new case inside the joint, and you're right. 10 turns into 20, 20 turns into 40, and 40 turns into forever, man.
Yeah, and those dudes don't give a shit about them, man. They don't give a fuck about me.
No.
You're just a pawn, man.
And here's the sad part. They ain't putting no money on your books. They ain't giving your old lady and kids no money. After all those years, who were you becoming, and did you like that person?
Man, that's a really good question. I would say sometime around 6 or 7 years in, and I was already at Corcoran 2, I looked at myself one day, and I was here in town doing something. I was doing shit all night, doing stuff, and then I got home later that night, and I was already like crawling into bed, and I told myself, I was like, hey, I haven't even thought about that place today. I'm starting to get better at leaving the shit at the gate, you know? But before, man, you know, just something as simple as an argument with an inmate, you know, I'd be home later thinking, man, I'm never going to let this fucking guy talk to me like that again. You know, he made me look stupid in front of the other inmates, you know, I let shit bother me, you know. But yeah, about 6 or 7 years in, I started really getting good about, I could get into any altercation and just fucking be like, boom, I'm good, fucking home. I could really separate the both, you know.
I would tell you this, man. I had a buddy of mine that worked out here at Corcoran. And one day, dude, he's a white boy, but he's calling other white dudes wood.
Oh no.
He's calling Hispanic dudes Chicans, right? And
he's getting sucked in the fucking system, bro. You start becoming like them.
And so then even the way he walked like an inmate, talked like an inmate. But we're having dinners with our wives one night, man. And I said, hey, homie, let me talk to you out here. I took him outside and I go, dude, do not buy into this bullshit. And I said, dude, I go, look, man, I said, I'm not a wood. I go, just call me Jay, right?
Yeah.
I go, you know, and at the time, my wife was Hispanic, and he's saying Chican in front of her, and she's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, that's what they call Hispanics, babe. And, you know, I'm sitting there just going, and I remember like, and I hate to say this, but I ran into a lot of COs that bought into it. Mm-hmm. And you know,
I agree with you, man. I've seen them.
Well, I would take this. I remember I would, you know, here's what's, and this is going to come across as, this is going to sound weird, but it's true. I never arrested a highway patrolman. I've seen guys that worked at my PD get arrested. Mm-hmm. Dude, I have arrested probably more than 20 COs. Yeah. You guys are big, though. You're talking 30,000 COs just by the numbers.
At Corcoran 2, there was fucking 800 officers.
Yeah, it's massive.
Just officers.
But you know, when we would talk to him, you know, I'd be like, oh, you know, as I'm booking him, hey, man, you know, you work out there at the joint. Yeah, man, toughest beat in the state. You know, yeah, right.
And I wouldn't have been one of those cops.
I know, but I was like, and as you start to talk to them, you realize they've almost become brainwashed by this system.
By the mentality of it. Especially cops that are there 16 hours at a time, all the time working.
Yeah.
And I knew cops that were fascinated with the gangs, you know.
Yeah.
They would fucking make every effort to, they'd be like, hey, see so-and-so, man. He's like, yeah, man, that dude's one of the fucking main dudes for the AB, man. I'm going to go talk to him and shit. I'm like, why the fuck you want to go talk to him, man?
Yeah.
Oh, just like fascinated by the whole fucking thing, It's like,
dude,
bro.
I worked with guys like that, and I used to tell them, remember this, dude. These are not our friends.
No, man.
Right? And I'm like, hey, you know what? If we got to talk to them about a case or we got to do something, we're doing business.
Right.
We keep it business.
Exactly.
But these people are not our friends, and we're not theirs, right? We're here to put these people away for as long as we can.
There's one word that triggers me, like how you're saying this guy was calling you wood and calling it chican and all this.
Yeah.
And that. The minute I'm talking to somebody, and no matter who it is, maybe it's a random person I just met. It's like, hey, man, it's nice meeting you, man. Maybe we'll see you again. And hey, have a good day, man. Okay, man, likewise. That word, bro.
Oh, yeah, because that's all
That's
they
a fucking, I tell everybody, I have told people, don't fucking tell me likewise, bro.
Yeah.
That is an inmate word.
Yeah.
And they say it all the goddamn time. Likewise, man. Likewise. Hey, man. All right, homie. We'll get you. Have a good one. Okay, man. Likewise. Likewise. It's like,
you know what?
I hate that.
I tell you something. You know what guys on the street do that used to piss us off? And it would piss me off. I just wouldn't let everything every word that they're saying to us. I understand, sir. Sir. So I mean, do they sir you to death,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the way they say it, it's a sir.
Yeah, like
but it's like it's almost saying fuck you without saying fuck you.
Being real
And I used to just tell them, just answer my questions and cut the sirs.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it anymore. And so you moved to the substance abuse facility. Did it feel like relief or false peace?
When I went to SADF
Yeah, and SADF, that's
California Substance Abuse
Treatment Facility. Yeah.
The prison was still opening up. So it was a really good experience for me to see like a brand new joint. Okay. I mean, the first few months I was there, I was putting bunks together. There was no inmates on the yard. We're literally getting these buildings ready for inmates.
Is it right across the street? Or
it's right across the street.
Okay, yeah.
Right. There's little tiny roads separating them, but both ran independently, but just one road separating them. And, I get to SADF, and that's what I'm doing. So it's pretty cush, I'm just, they're stocking the place up. They're getting ready, getting all the equipment and all the control booths, everything we're going to need. And so, after like 7 months of being there, we start receiving inmates onto the first level 4 yard at that prison. And I go to work on that yard. And, when a new prison like that's opening, there's a contract or whatever to each prison out there that, hey, Calipatria, you can give us so many inmates, and, Pelican Bay, you can send us so many. And so if you're at a prison, if I was here at SADF and I got that note, who do you think I'm going to send?
Yeah.
I'm going to send
the worst.
Fucking worst inmates.
Yes.
The ones that are always in fucking problems,
Yeah.
That is the worst part of opening a new joint, because we were just every day getting 70, 80, 100 more. And you could just look at them, and they were just, you could tell they're hard motherfuckers, and they're there to set a precedence. They knew they were going to a new joint, so they knew this isn't established here yet.
Well, also, for the folks at home, a level 4 inmate, violent.
For sure.
Violent. And,
for sure.
and a lot of these guys are gang related. A lot of these guys are already validated gangsters. They ain't there for singing too loud in church.
No,
a lot of these guys.
Most of them are down for some long time.
Yes.
Long time.
Yes.
And so that was just, man, that was an eye opener, man. It was just rock and rolling all the time. Just, we were having incidences all the time. I mean, I would say a majority of them were, inmate on inmate. But every now and then, we would have staff members get involved. And it was probably just about a year after that, after we really started getting all the yards filled up with inmates, I'm like, man, I'm going to get off this level 4 yard, go work this level 2 yard. This is just,
yeah, you need it. Sometimes you need a breather, brother.
Right. So I go over to this level 2 yard that's you know, just it's actually next to the level 4 yard, you know, but still quite a ways away, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, when they call an alarm at the prison, they'll say, you know, code 1, Charlie Yard, building 2, you know. So okay, that's the first call, you know. Boom, you know, Charlie Yard, building number 2, we got code 2, you know. So that is like, oh shit, it's
A little step up.
yeah, it's stepping up. Now everybody on the sister yard of that yard is putting their inmates away and they're getting ready. Well, this one particular day, they called code 1, and then they called code 2, and then just like seconds later, code 3, and you could just hear some of the cops yelling in the background, you know. It's like, oh, fuck, this is real, you know. So
yeah, they're getting attacked.
when they call code 3, everybody comes. You come from wherever the fuck you're at. So I'm like, if I had to guess, probably a good half a mile run.
That's a ways to run, dude.
Long ways, right? And
Yeah.
they taught us in the academy, when you're responding far away, you run 60%.
Yeah, because you don't want to gas yourself
You gotta
out.
fucking have something when you're there, you know?
Yeah.
So as I'm getting to the yard, I'm hearing the 40 millimeter launch guns going off. They just, this 40 millimeter big round pellet, you know, and it's flat on one side, but boom, you just hear them thump, 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 thump. You know, this dude's dropping them, and I'm running with about 7-8 cops. And we go running onto this yard, okay? And it's just like there's tear gas bombs all over the yard. Gas is going everywhere. And as soon as we run on the yard, I look across the yard to the front of that building, and it was like that scene when like a football player's down and all his teammates come around to look.
Yeah.
Okay. There was about 7-8 cops over there. All the inmates are laying down, but there's about 7 or 8 cops standing around this one dude who's down. And I'm like, fuck, who is that? You know? And we start to go that way. But then I look to my right, and all along the wall here, there's just like a shitload of Southsider Mexicans, because they had been playing handball, and the handball courts were right there. And they were laying down, and we all start we kind of ran in, stopped for a minute, looked, and then we all kind of started kind of walking fast that direction because there's inmates everywhere. And I hear this one Hispanic dude in Spanish say, when these guys pass, we'll fucking get them from behind, you know? And so let me step back a second.
Are you bilingual?
Yeah, I'm not 100%, but I can
you know
definitely
enough.
survive in it.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say, you know
and
enough.
most importantly, I understand pretty much everything, and I can speak pretty well.
Good.
And so before I ran onto the yard, as we're running through the control booth, the control area, the cop in there is just loading weapons, gas guns, grenades, and everything on this big shelf. And then he just lifts the shelf up, and then that shelf flips outside. So as you're running by, you can just grab shit, you know, and we're going. And I grabbed the biggest fucking weapon on that tray, you know. It was this thing called an L8, okay? It's a big gun like this with a huge, like, just picture a gigantic revolver. And there's like 6 or 8 rounds of the 40 millimeter in there. So you just pump it, boom, boom,
love it,
boom, you know, and you can just start popping them off. And the thing is heavy, you know. So I'm running onto the yard and I'm holding this thing, and then I hear this guy say that, and I yell to these guys. I go, stop, you guys, stay right here. Let's watch these guys right here. I was like, stay here. They got enough cops over there. We need to fucking watch these guys, you know. That motherfucker right there, you know, I heard who said it. And he looks at me, and he's up, you know, he's laying down, but he's up on his elbows like this. And he just looks at me. He's all, fuck you, man. You ain't going to do shit. And I'm holding that L8 like this. And I took like 3 big steps, and I fucking drop kicked him right in the fucking jaw. I mean, I tried to kick his head through a fucking 50-yarder, you know?
Yeah.
Boom. He went rolling, and his homie's like, hey man, fuck that. And then, you know, all my cops came up, and I'm just in a frenzy. You fucking move. I'm going to fucking kill you, motherfucker. You know, this and that. And then I hear the name. Frank Patilla's down. It's Frank, you know. This is a friend of mine, you know. And
so they actually attacked a CO?
Yeah, it was like I don't know how the fight started. I mean, a lot of times they would set up a fight to get you going one way, and then they fucking get somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I heard his name, I fucking saw red, and I was ready to just fucking.
Oh yeah,
I was ready to do any one of them fucking dudes, and I just told them, you guys fucking any one of you move, I'm gonna beat you to death with this fucking. I'm not even gonna shoot you with this thing. I'm gonna beat you with it. You know, I was just so mad. So everything quailed. We started zip tying all these guys. You know, somebody comes on there and they just have a fucking rack of zip ties ready. You know, he just started zipping them, and everything's calm, and they're getting Frank on this gurney. And they bring him right by, and his fucking head is gashed. His eyes are just swollen. He's, you know.
So he got pummeled.
He got fucking bad, you know.
Yeah.
And I just, man, that was probably one of the most angriest I've ever been at fucking MMA. I was just ready to do him.
I was going to say, there's something about when we get attacked.
Yeah. Take it personal.
And I've often said, you know, and people are like, man, you guys shouldn't take it personal. I'm like, somebody's trying to take your head off, you're going to take it personal. I'm like, listen, I'm all for being professional. But when it gets to that level,
right,
that goes out the window, because now it turns into survival.
Right.
And, you know, did Frank make it? And
yeah, okay. Yeah, he came out good. He took a couple months off, you know, and came back to work. You know, the guy's he's a beast, man. I love that guy. Do you remember the name Devin Tucker? From high school?
Yeah.
Well, he was an officer out there, and he had just started when this incident happened. He was on that yard, and I had heard that he was there. You know, like I don't know how I heard it. Somebody I knew from high school was like, "Hey, man, Devin Tucker's out there at SATF." I was like, "Really? I ain't seen him." You know, and so during that incident, you know, after everything's done, you know, I see Devin. And he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Marco, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, hey, Devin, I heard you fucking came out here, man. You know." Yeah. He's like, yeah. You know, I just got here like 3 weeks ago." And he goes, "Hey, why did you kick that guy in the head?" You know. And I said, "Because that motherfucker was getting ready to do something really fucking stupid. So actually, I saved him from more time."
Yeah.
You know. And he's like, "Oh, okay." You know, I was just like, yeah, the chaos of that, you know, just seeing inmates.
Well,
you know.
And here's the sad part about, you know, there's a lot of inmates that don't have anything to lose. You know what I mean? Hey, especially the guy he's got another 30 years to go.
Yeah.
So guess what? He takes out a CO. They drop another 20 or 30 years on him. It don't make no difference.
Yeah, but now he's actually got a little fucking...
some juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the sad part, you know, but then us, you know, hey, man, we're not inmates. We all have lives and kids and wives and houses and all these responsibilities.
Right.
Bro, we have stuff to lose, dude. They don't.
Exactly.
And
their day's going to be the same.
As a search and escort dealing with the worst inmates, how fast did complacency get people hurt? Because I've seen it happen out here on the streets 100 times.
Yeah, and it did in there. And I'll be honest, I mean, there were times that I got complacent.
Oh yeah, me too.
Know?
Me too.
I mean, I was working this level.
It's human nature, bro.
Yeah, you know. And then the thing is like, you know, in prison, like sometimes fucking 7 months straight, man, fucking no incidents. Fuck yeah, man. Like this has been easy money. You know, they always say in corrections, you don't earn your money over the year. You earn it in a handful of moments. Yeah.
In about like, 8 minutes. Yeah.
And, you know, I was in this one building with this, he was a little older than me, maybe 10 years older than me, Officer Van Vute. And he was a no bullshit kind of guy, ran a strict program. And, you know, I'm in this level 2 building and everything's just going great. Everything's smooth. You know, it's an unlock, you know, every hour on the hour, you open the door to the building and there's inmates that want to go out.
Yeah, they can go out on the yard.
Yeah. And then, you know, you open the door only for like 5-10 minutes and then close them, you know, so that's their chance to go in and out.
Yeah.
And, you know, we would open the door and I'd go and just kind of stand outside, you know, get some fresh air, you know, and just kind of watch inmates walk in and out. Well, this one time, right as I am kind of stepping out of the office and the door is opening up, one dude comes in and this other guy's walking out and they just engage right in front of me. I mean, just a foot in front of me, just boom, boom. They just start going to blows. And I had gotten complacent, man. I was just like, oh shit. You know, like I had my coffee in my hand. I dropped it, you know, I was like, oh fuck, you know, I'm going for my spray. And by, you know, everything happens so quick, of course, but the guys, they're just on the ground, and the one guy's getting the better of him. And so I get my spray out and I go to just start dousing both of them, It was like this guy that was the main guy that was doing the assaulting. It's like he had eyes in the back of his head, or like he knew to count, like I have so many seconds and then the officer's going to, be on me. And so it's like I'm facing his back. He's on top of the other dude. And right as I pull my spray out to just start gassing them both, he rolls off, jumps up and just everything I sprayed just hit the poor bastard that was already getting his fucking ass kicked.
Yeah.
Oh, then he's screaming, it's like, and Van View was just like right behind me, just started grabbing, he jumped out in the section and, all, like natural, like human nature, other inmates are starting to try to come over to see what's fucking going on. He jumps out there and gets my back basically. He's like, get the fuck back now, and they all.
I don't know about you, but there's something about OC or pepper spray. It works better on cops than it does on bad guys.
Man,
and you know what? I wasn't a big OC dude because there's something about it. It just does something to me. I don't like it. I was a taser dude. I shot about 60 people with a taser.
We didn't have tasers.
Yeah.
So,
hey man, out there, did you work with a dude named Todd McRoberts?
Yes,
did
I
you know that?
Yeah, I know Todd.
Well, Todd's a good friend of mine,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, I know Todd. I worked with Todd.
Dude, the guy don't age, dude. I mean,
right.
Dude, he looks great, man. We always call him Sean Penn, man. He looks like Sean Penn mixed with Liam Neeson, man.
Oh yeah, I can see the Liam Neeson.
Yeah. The 2-hour riot where a young inmate died.
Yeah.
How long did that stay with you?
Man,
and how did that happen?
So that again was a situation where I was in a level 2 unit.
Okay.
And what was happening in the prisons is that we were getting a lot of segregated type of yards, right? And that was only because, like, hey, these Northerners, they got in a fight over here, so we're going to send them to this yard where there's more Northerners and less Southsiders. There'll be less incidences. Well, you kept doing that. Pretty soon, you had a whole fucking yard full of just ton of Northerners on this yard, shitload of Southsiders on that yard, and everything was. There was some kind of lawsuit, or it was probably an inmate that put it in about diversity and keeping things like equal. You have to have so many blacks, so many whites, so many Mexicans. That way, no one faction is running shit, and so we knew this is a fucking bad idea. And I'm in this unit, and there's only 3 units on this small yard, but they're all bunks. And there's just, they were overcrowding the housing units at the time. So we had about 260 inmates in one building, double tiered bunk beds in like cubicles, so it's very dangerous, man. So many blind spots, and it was actually the way we got word was by my snitch porter, inmate Jackson, little skinny black dude. And
is he alive?
I don't know. I mean, I know the 2 years he worked in my unit there as my porter, he told me everything that was going on.
Got it.
And at the time they could still smoke and have tobacco on the yard.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
When you're talking earlier about cops becoming like an inmate, I was becoming like an inmate. I was like, nah, you know what? I would go to the receiving and release, I had friends that worked in there. I was like, hey man, you guys got any extra bugler? So, fuck yeah, inmates would have a bunch of tobacco, but when they go to parole, they can't take that shit with them, right? So I'd go and I would always stock up my drawers with fucking tobacco, because that's how I got Jackson basically to tell me a lot of shit.
I was going to say, for the folks that don't, bugler it's this tobacco, but
it's bottom of the barrel, bro.
Yeah, it is, but it's also it's loose tobacco.
Yeah, they got to roll their own cigarettes.
They got to make their own cigarettes out of it. And,
but it was money, bro. Money in there. Like Jackson, he didn't smoke.
Yeah,
but anytime he
but cigarettes are cash.
Exactly.
Yes,
it was money in there.
So how did the inmate that died? How did they shanked her?
They beat him to death with locks in a sock.
Oh man, horrible, bro.
Yeah, they would get their locks. All you need is like one, but like usually they put like 2 in about 5 socks. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they tie it in a row of knots. So you basically have the end, and there's like about 5-6 knots, and then the two locks that are inside the socks.
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
that's a
end.
baseball
It's
bat,
fucking-
dude. Yeah.
I think it's worse, bro. It's like,
Yeah. Why'd they kill him?
okay, so we got our first Northerners in this building, right? And the first week things were going smooth, like, oh, maybe this is going to be okay, And then, we got about a total of only about 10 of them in our unit. And a lot of them were in this one section, but 3 or 4 of them were up in this one section, kind of like, up there and just to fend for themselves, And this inmate tells me one day, he would always come into my office at the same time every day to get my trash, sweep, I would step out, he would sweep my floors, clean up, And in that time is when I would get my information. And he says, hey, Uranga, things are getting real bad up there in A section, Up there, they're going to get them.
It's getting ready to kick off.
They're going to get them Northerners, bro. And it's going to happen, Fuck, And so I was working third watch at that time from 2:30 to 10:30. So I stayed that night. And right when he told me that, I told my supervisor, I started telling everybody, and they were like, this is serious. They believed me and said, hey, man, we need to start getting extra staff on the yard. That day went by, no problem. The next day I came in and it was on first watch again. I worked my regular shift and then I worked again that night. And this time they posted gunners. On the level 2 yard, they would never put gunners upstairs. It's supposed to be more chill. But it had heated up through that day.
Oh, yeah.
And now we know it's going to happen. And now we know it's going to happen that night. We just didn't know when. So 1:00 in the morning, building 1 alarm goes off. Okay. So I jump up. I'm the responding officer. My partner, Latrell, stays behind. And as soon as I run over to building 1 and get in the door, I hear the alarm to my building going off. And that's
so now they're doing multiples.
That's where they were doing it,
Yeah.
And so I go running back to my building as fast as I can. And my partner is standing on one of the metal tables in the middle of the section, and he has what's called an MK46. It's basically a fire hydrant, okay, like a fire hydrant you would see on any wall, a big thing.
Yeah, but it's got OC in it.
But it's got pepper spray in it and a little wand on it that'll shoot it like 40 feet, And I go running in there, and Officer Kewen is upstairs, this little blonde female who's a fucking little stick of dynamite, and she's just blasting the 40 millimeter rounds. Just boom, 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 and as I go running in, like the first one, I'm right underneath her. So the first pop is like, boom, your body kind of flinches, and then boom, again, it flinches. And then by the third or fourth one, I'm not hearing it no more. I'm not flinching anymore, But I look into this section where my partner's standing on this table and he's gassing the whole stairwell, where there's just this mass group of like probably about 15 Southsiders, and they have this Northerner kid. They have him up, like he looks like he's crowd surfing, and they have him and they're fucking trying to get him upstairs.
Just throw him off the tier.
And they get up to the top, and he's hitting them with so much gas they kind of start like tearing apart from each other. Some are running upstairs, some are running downstairs. And this kid's like laying on the stairs, and so I just go, and I could tell he's just fucked up really bad. I mean, it's just so much blood. And I run up to him and I grab him and I said, hey, this is Officer Uranga. You fucking run with me now. And he's just screaming bloody murder. And I looked at him, and the entire top of his head here is just opened up, and I could see the whole frontal lobe of his brain and the whole top of his fucking eyeball.
Oh, dude.
And I just, so I get him. And as we're running down the stairs, I feel like, I'm pretty sure it was like a fucking can of tuna just tagged me right in the fucking back of the head. I feel other shit hitting me in the back, but I'm running with him out. And we get out the building. And as I'm running out the building, there's just fucking shitloads of cops coming my way, And I'm just yelling, this guy's got to get to the fucking hospital now, And he's just screaming, and I'm running him, and we get across to like where the nurses' stations are and shit, and I just kind of leave him there, because I go running back, man. It's just going on. It goes on and off for 2 hours.
Jesus.
For 2 fucking hours. And it was a thing where like the building would stop. We would handcuff so many inmates, and then boom, they would jump over there again. And then we would stop that. And then 15 minutes later, boom, they're jumping again. You know, this is why a dorm setting like that is the worst setting, because, you know, if 2 inmates are fighting in a cell, then they're just going to fight.
Yeah.
And it's going to be over. But, you know, you're talking a mass crowd.
Well, I was going to say, when you get 15 dudes on somebody, I mean, that's just,
they were just
and then
him,
obviously he succumbed to his injuries.
Yeah. And I just heard that a few days later. I said, I heard that kid died. And I was like, you know.
What does controlled chaos really feel like? And I've been in it. It's scary.
Yeah. You know, it took me a while. You know, the first few bad incidents is your head's like on a swivel, you're spinning. Yeah. And as I got older and more used to seeing the right situations, I was, you know, I looked at myself, my young self and then my older self, and I was two entirely different cops.
Oh, big time.
And I remember, you know, the first couple of big incidents, you're kind of standing there looking around and you're waiting for like somebody to tell you what the fuck to do. You just, you know, I mean, the training sometimes when you see something like that, you're stunned, you know? And I remember this one time as I was getting more time in, I was working at overtime on third watch where a lot of the new cops are working. And I go responding to this one yard where there's just a big incident going down. And I run onto the yard and there's like these 4 or 5 cops. And like there was a bunch of inmates already laying down that, you know, weren't involved. But then there's a bunch of inmates over there who are involved. And so I run in and these cops, they're all young and they're
no clue
all
what
just
to do.
Fucking sitting there just staring.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even a supervisor, you know, I'm just a cop with some time. And I run in there and I just go, hey, you 5 guys, fucking watch these group right here. Make sure nobody fucking gets up. And I pointed to one of them. I said, you come with me to get some flex ties. Let's go. You know, and we ran back to control, started getting the zip ties. And I was like, look, I don't give a fuck. Just start zipping these guys, you know. And they just did it. You know, they just started doing what I said, you know. And I you know, after that situation, I said, you know, these kids, they just need to see this more and more, and they'll
and
know
I would tell you this,
what
man.
to do.
And here's the sad part: whether it's in the joint or even Vice PD or any rookies, dude. And here's the sad thing I'm going to say right now: they're a danger to themselves and others because they don't know what to do. Right when I was retiring, and you know, me and you've been retired about the same amount of time, dude. Times are changing, bro.
Oh yeah,
and not for the better.
Oh no, man.
And I'm gonna tell you this, man. I think body cams it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I like transparency. I like people to see what's going on. But dude, I mean, people are getting written up for using profanity, bro.
Exactly,
and
man.
we're dealing with people that are the worst of the worst.
No,
Pretty please with sugar on top does not work.
No.
And when did you learn that talking could be more dangerous and more powerful than force?
Definitely. Verbal manipulation gets to an inmate a lot worse than just, you know, I started realizing, you know, 7, 8 years in, hey, I'm starting to recognize the shit that they're saying.
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's trying to get over me to get something else, you know? So one of my tactics that I would use when an inmate wasn't doing what he's supposed to do, and he's slow fucking it to get up to his house, on the PA of the building, I would just get on there and be like, be advised, nobody's going to be going to chow. We're going to be going to chow late because of inmate Patterson up there who won't go to his fucking cell, you know, and the inmates will start yelling, come on, motherfucker, hurry up, man, we're trying to go to yard, but you know. So I just kind of just start using their own games against them. You know, they'd start arguing, man, I ain't got to fucking do that. So now you're special. And I'd yell out, oh, hey, this guy's more special than all you guys who are doing your shit right? This motherfucker wants to be special and be treated. He's better than you guys, apparently, you know. And that shit worked every time, you know.
I will tell you this. When I was a brand new deputy working out here at the jail, I had a porter, and he goes, hey, dude, can you go by my house and check on my old lady? And I said, Don't ever ask me to do that again. Okay? All right. But he goes and he gets one of the new deputies and he wears him down.
Yeah.
And the deputy goes to this dude's old lady's house.
You mean on the streets?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, and guess what?
You know what I thought you were first saying? Can you go up like by my house?
Yeah.
And he's got his girlfriend up there.
Yeah, no, actually goes to his house, his real house.
Wow.
And meets up with this chick. Well, what do you think she says? You know, hey,
guess who came by?
Yeah, he came by, sexually assaulted me or tried to sexually assault me. And then, you know, the deputy ends up losing his job. But that is the manipulation that people don't realize.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when I would train new deputies, I'd be like, hey, dude, you know, we be professional. However, do not do these guys a favor.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, they've got you and they'll own you. And then they've manipulated other deputies or COs to have them start smuggling drugs and stuff into the joint.
It happens out there for sure.
When did you start seeing the system crack and realize nobody was there to fix it? Because I've seen it for years, dude.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was a lot more hands-on when I first started. You know, you could grab an inmate and put him on the wall and search him, you know. And a lot of times when you're just randomly searching guys coming from the chow hall, you know, you just point to them, hey, and they would just walk right over to the wall, put their hands on the wall, and you just kind of pat them down, you know. Well, I came into work one day and there's this white line. It looks like, you know, a bicycle lane line that's painted off every building wall about 4 feet back from the wall. What the fuck is this line that they just came in and painted? Oh, that's where you put inmates now. You can't put them on the wall no more. You have to, if you want to search them, if you want to randomly search an inmate, you have to put them on that line and have them turn around. I was like, oh, great. So now they have plenty of room to turn around and attack us as opposed to being on a wall.
Exactly.
That was one of the first changes, you know, and then you start seeing, you know, breakdowns in medical, you know, they're just starting to give them so much more. You know, in prison, they don't get generic drugs, you know, like if you were taking anything out here, and you're taking ibuprofen, but you're taking this, it's generic for ibuprofen.
Oh, they get the top-notch stuff.
They get the real shit.
Yes.
You know, they get the good drugs. And it used to be a thing where like, hey, you know, inmates like, hey man, I'm not feeling good, you know. All right, man, we'll just go to the doctor tomorrow, go to the nursing station and tell them you're not feeling good, you know. It's like, oh no, I got to go now, you know. No, you can't go now, fucking nursing station. Well, they eventually made it where inmates figured it out. Oh,
if I say that,
if I just say I have chest pains, I'm going to get to go to the doctor right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm scared tonight because these fuckers are going to jump me and I know they're going to come. So I'm just going to go to the nurse and say, hey, I got chest pains real bad. And now they're going to send me over to Hanford for the night. And I was
going to say, this is when the system fails.
Yes.
Because guess what? None of that stuff is free.
Yeah.
And it does cost money. Meeting Chewy. Why did that partnership work when so many others failed?
Chewy was a special dude, man. He was 6'4", and when I first met him, he was 390 pounds.
Oh, is he still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is he still a CO?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No, he's a few years older than me, and he retired a couple years before me. Dan Chewy Farrell. Yeah, that's my boy, man. I had other really great partners like him, but I met him first working in what was known as the drug rehabilitation yards, you know, and they were trying to implement this program where they were bringing, you know, ex-addicts, because that's who are counselors for drugs. And they're bringing in these people and they're having group meetings, you know, and at first I was in on it, you know. It's like, hey man, they're trying to make a difference. They're trying to turn these guys' lives.
They're trying to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Chewy comes in and it's a bid job. So I know I'm going to be in this building for 3 years, and so is he. And we worked 4 days together, which was ideal because a lot of times you'll work 3 days with this guy, 2 days, or 1 day with this guy, and then one more day with that guy. You know, you get different partners. But me and him actually worked 4 days together.
Man, 390 pounds, dude. That's a big man,
dude,
bro.
He was the size of the door.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a big man.
And the first day I met him, you know, he comes in Hey, dog, what's going on, man? Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kinda how you
yeah.
talk. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you right now off the get. I know we don't know each other, but if any motherfucker in here talks shit, you just fucking point in my direction, okay? And I was like, I knew from that point, I was like, okay, this guy's going to be the muscle. I'm going to be
Yeah. He's the hater. You're the hugger.
I'm going to be I'm going to be the mediator.
Yeah.
between
He's
inmates
dad,
and
your
him.
mom.
Yeah, you know. And yeah, we worked great together, man. We ran building 2 and there was building 1 and 3, and we would tell the other cops, when you have an inmate fucking off, being an asshole,
Send him our way.
Send him our way, bro.
Yeah.
We'll send you one of our good people, good inmates, and we'll fucking square him out over here, you know. One day he called in sick for some reason. He had something going on with his daughter. The inmates knew it, and they were pissed off about this. This goes to show how much, and when an inmate is programmed already, they don't like change, man.
Oh, that's
Okay.
that. Yeah.
They fucking can't stand it.
Yeah.
And every day for years, 1 o'clock unlock, noon unlock, 2 o'clock unlock. You just open the doors and inmates just kind of come in and out.
Yeah.
Well, in these particular buildings, there's this long hallway before you get out. So there was starting to be a lot of fights in that fucking hallway where no cops have eyes on them. So then they started implementing this new program. Hey, when we first call unlock, you can only walk in the first 5 minutes, and then the next 5 minutes you can walk out. Or it was vice versa. I think the first 5 minutes the inmates could walk out, but only walk out only. And then after the 5 minutes, then the other one. Oh, they're fucking crying about it. They're fucking just so pissed off, Chewy's not there. And I'm trying to implement it, and they're all, what the fuck? What's this? I was, hey man, you gotta wait, and I'm just explaining this shit all day. It's a pain in the ass. They're all fucking mad and starting to fucking be idiots. And that day when I'm leaving like, right about 2:15 or so. I'm going out of the building, and there's probably 15, 20 inmates all standing around the door, I go walking out, and I'm walking right through all of these guys. Fuck you, Uranga. Fucking punk, you motherfucker, this and that,
I'm blaming you.
Yeah.
You came up with
it's not
this.
just one, bro. It's a bunch of them, So I fucking turn around and I pull out my notebook and I start writing down names. Fucking John, fucking you, and they all start fucking peeling away, But I had them already. I fucking seen who said what.
Yeah, you're like, when Chewy gets back.
That's what I was doing. I called him, bro. I called him on the way home. I said, homie, you're coming into work tomorrow. Yeah, dog, what happened? I said, bro, get plenty of rest tonight, because we're going to fucking toss these motherfuckers. What happened, dog? The motherfuckers disrespect you. Oh, fucking, I'm going to kill them, this and that, So the next morning he came in and I gave him the list of dudes. In this building, they're all in rooms, in bunk beds and cubicles. So it's fucking tons of blind spots, right? He got that list and he goes, all right, dog. He goes, he would usually go to chow in the morning and cover. He goes, you're going to go to chow this morning.
Yeah, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to handle this.
Okay. So chow comes and goes, and I go back to the union. What he did is he took that list of names, and let's say 2 of those guys were in this one cubicle, and there's about 8 dudes in that unit. He went in there and didn't touch their shit, and he got every other inmate's shit and fucking destroyed their,
throwing off the tier,
throwing their shit everywhere, pouring fucking, a lot of dudes would fill plastic bags of water, tie it to a fucking
yeah. They make it as a dumbbell.
Popping those bags and just fucking pouring the water all over their fucking paperwork. And he just destroyed the house. Fucking destroyed it. And I come back now, and now they're in a fucking frenzy. This is fucking bullshit. All the other ones are screaming, I didn't fucking do nothing, man. We know this is because of Uranga yesterday, and whoa, whoa, whoa. And Chewy, and there's like a group of them all pissed off, like protesting, coming up to us, and he jumps out of his chair and he goes, everybody get the fuck back. And he puts his arms out, get the fuck back right now. It's just like 15 dudes all like backing up, He's all, he didn't fucking do nothing. You know what? I fucking did that shit. You got a fucking problem? And he picks up a stack of what's called a 602 form. It's what an inmate files a complaint on.
Yeah. Fill this shit up.
Motherfuckers. And he just throws it on it. Fucking just a sea of papers falling, And they all just walked away going, man, it's fucked up, man. And for the whole rest of that day, dude, these dudes were sitting there, and a majority of those guys came up and apologized later.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, please don't let Chewy do that. Don't let Officer. They didn't say Chewy. Don't let Officer Farrell. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have said that shit. You know, we're just mad. But, you know, please don't go tearing up our partners out. You know, it put a lot more pressure on them because they were the ones that they didn't have their shit touched.
Oh, yeah.
So now, that was a form of manipulation.
Well, also,
get the whole rest of the house fucking man.
It also looks like, wait, are you snitching? Is that why your stuff didn't get trashed?
Right. You know,
the us versus them mentality. Why does that mindset keep units alive?
It definitely breaks down if you start becoming blinded, like you said. A lot of these cops that start thinking that they start acting like them, you know, they start talking like them, you know. So now inmates can start feeling like they relate to them a little bit some way. You know?
I would tell you something, man. I had a dude who I really liked, but he was so friendly with these guys. Like, I think he was almost got off on the fact that he was talking with inmates and hanging out with inmates.
No, I seen
and I told him one day, I seen
supervisors.
And I said, listen, brother, I said, I love you. You're a good man, but you're too good. And these dudes are going to take this one day and they're going to hurt you with it. And I'm like, listen, man, you're over there almost fanboying on these dudes. Dude, these guys are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
That have killed people, raped kids, and you're over there acting like this guy's a great thing. I go, we're doing a job,
right?
But we are not their friends,
right.
And they are not ours.
Exactly.
And why is underestimating inmates one of the most dangerous mistakes an officer can make?
It really is because, you know, in prison you can't just. Quite frankly, if I was like in a wrestling thing with an inmate or something, I prefer that they were big dudes.
Yeah.
I would much rather fight a guy who is 250 because I know I could just grab him and go to the ground, and in probably about 30 seconds, he's going to be breathing hard, gasping for air. The inmate that scared me the most wasn't any one particular inmate. It was the little J-Cat inmate that weighed about 170 pounds that could do about fucking 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups.
And for the folks at home, when he says J-Cat, J-Cat is a crazy dude. You know, mentally irregular. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. And because I seen them fight before. You know, thankfully I never had to go square up with somebody like that. You know, but they definitely. I was definitely more aware of them than like big dudes that just yelled a lot and tried to act
I've
like
been in some
ass.
knockdown dragouts with dudes that are like, you're right, you're 135, 145 pound dude,
going.
And they don't lose wind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, man, dude, I mean, you know, I would end up tasing these people just to get them in control, man, because, you know, and I've had 2 surgeries on both of my hands from punching people in the face, bro.
Yeah.
It happens. But you know this, man, when it gets to that level, we got to do what we got to do to stay alive.
Yeah, bro.
Pruno and contraband. How creative does desperation get behind the bars? And for people at home, Pruno is this. It's homemade liquor. And what they do is they get water and then they put bread in there. The bread ferments with the water. They try to get sugar and some other stuff in there, but it smells like straight up turpentine.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I tell you this, I threw it off of a tier one time and it ate the wax off of the floor, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but they can drink it and they can get drunk.
Right. I'll say this. I would have rather fought an inmate that was on speed, heroin, anything other than Pruno. Those when they get smashed on that shit, it's over.
Hey, I would tell you this. I know. And you could always see it coming too. You know, you'd walk by a cell, the guys are in there laughing and giggling, and they're just carrying on. You just know.
Yeah, they're
and then we would toss their cells. And dude, I mean, I know you've got them. bags this big, just full of full of
and inmates are smart, like guys that really knew how to make it. I saw a setup one time that I was doing a random cell search, and this guy had all his pruno cooking in a bag, okay? And he had made these little ventilation holes at the top with little fans made out of paper clips with his fan blowing on it. So they were turning. I mean, this guy was fucking pro, you know? I was like, dude, you missed your calling, bro. You should be working at like a distillery somewhere, you know? And from what I heard, he made some of the best pruno on the yard. You know?
Yeah, so, I believe it. When did you finally realize inmates were playing chess while officers were playing checkers? Because I saw that a bunch, dude.
Yeah. You know, it takes you being on a probably a higher level yard to really start seeing the manipulation, because when an inmate's on a lower yard, he has more freedom to kind of walk and do things.
Yeah.
When they're locked up, you know, the cop walking by is everything to them. They're like, hey, you know, whatever it is, you know, I need a law library pass, or I need this, or I need that. You know, they need something from you, you know, so you need to. I would always use that as weight. You know? And
you want something from me?
Yeah. You gotta give me something.
Yeah.
You know. So I never ever just gave shit away, you know. I always tried to get something out of it, you know. But you realize that when an inmate will come up and tell you, yeah, man, I heard old officer so and so, man, he drives a fucking black Corvette, man. It's badass, like a fucking this.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
they're fishing for info.
Fuck, you know, but like, that's true. I know that cop, and that's what he fucking drives. Like, how the fuck did he find that out, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, you just got to realize they have all day to sit there and think shit.
Yeah, come up with shit, try to figure out scams, and and that's their whole get down, where we're not thinking like that.
Right.
You know, we're there for work, and then we go home and we have our regular lives.
Yeah.
They don't.
No, they have
that
all
is their
night.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does verbal control beat physical force in the long run?
I think because you are locked up in a confined area, you know, inmates know that they're not going to jump the wall. They're not getting out, and they can only go from this far to that far. So they know they're still incarcerated.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel that, you know, I'm trying to find the right way to put this. Like, going back to how smart they can be, you know, they'll work something for months, you know, for that one moment where they can get an opportunity to try to get something from you.
Yeah.
You know, and they're very patient about that. I don't know, like, for example, a lieutenant in training one time did a good little scenario. You know, there's an inmate, you know, he works in a lower level unit. There's a female free staff who works there because some of them, they come in and do paperwork and shit like that. And he starts with the compliment, you know, oh, you look really nice in that color, you know, oh, you know, and they bite, you know, thank you, you know. They wait weeks. And then the next time they're like, hey, you know, I have a daughter who dresses a lot like you, you know. They start trying to fish out shit.
Well, what they do is they break down people's defenses.
Right. They try to start making them seem more human to you, so
Correct.
They give in. Until that one day, you know, he comes up and says, oh, you know, man, what's wrong? You know, they see, you know, is something wrong? Yeah, you know, I've been a little afraid because, you know, I owe some money to a couple of these guys here, and it's my fault, you know, my bad. You know, I made a couple bets, but now these guys are threatening to beat me up, and I have no way of paying them, you know, and all I need is just
could you get me some money?
All I need is like a one pack of cigarettes. If I just had one pack of cigarettes, I would. This whole fucking problem would go away, you know.
And she'll give it to him.
And then it happens. And then guess what? After that, I need some liquor now.
Yeah,
I need some drugs. You know, it's too
I
late.
will tell you this, and here's the sad part. Every time I see that an employee or a CO starts having sex with one of those inmates out there, it shocks me, brother.
Yeah, and it happened out there.
But
a couple.
you see that people get sucked into this bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
and then they start believing this crap, and then they're easily manipulated. And then, I mean, I've heard about that squad out there having to walk people off.
Yeah.
And it's sad, man, because you just think this: not only did you lose your job, but now you're looking at some criminal charges because you smuggled contraband into these people.
There was one officer out there who got caught bringing in those track phones. Or
cell phones. They do that all the time.
And when he got caught, they went and searched his house, and he had about 30 of those phones, like ready to go, and about $85,000 cash in his house.
Yeah. And you just think about this. It's like, dude, you had a great job with the state, but again,
A retirement.
and we always say this: the lure of easy money, it's got a very strong appeal, bro. And
Shit, I can make $5,000 with just one fucking phone.
exactly. And but and then every time I would see one get arrested, I would just think, man, you dumb SOB, man. What are you doing, man?
Obviously not thinking.
Yeah, you've said that there was a moment when the hair on your neck stood up. What shifted? What made that happen?
Well, it again goes to like, you're doing something the same way every single day in and day out.
Oh yeah.
And I was on this one yard, and every morning I would, at a certain time, go to the dining hall to cover, and I'm at the dining hall, and the first 90 to 100 inmates get inside. You got to wait for them to start coming out before you send the next group. And every day, man, after those inmates were already pretty much sat down, I would always go into the kitchen in the back, and I knew the free cook that worked there, and he already knew what I wanted. Every day I would drink an inmate milk. They had their own dairy.
Yeah.
Just the same little milk carton you got in elementary school. You get that little, and I'd always go for that milk. So there's sometimes I'd open the door and open it, and the milk's already in the air coming at me.
Love it. Yeah.
And I went and I got my milk, and I came back into the dining hall, and I just went, holy fuck. Like, the scene every day is like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Dudes are talking. And then this one day I walk in, all the inmates are like,
it's quiet. It's getting ready to kick off.
Oh shit. So I hoofed it outside, and there's about 3 cops outside and the sergeant. And I literally go, hey, Sarge, something's wrong. Boop. The fucking alarm goes off, and they're just going for it in there, bro. Fucking trays are flying, inmates are fighting and shit. I was like, oh fuck, I knew it. I saw it coming, man.
Yeah, we all, and it's so funny because, again, most people don't realize it. Before it kicks off, it always goes real quiet.
Yeah,
because
that silence is what makes your fucking hair stand up.
Because they're like, okay, all right, are we doing this? Yep. All right, boom, and then then it's on.
You can feel it.
You said the only inmate you ever shook hands with.
Right.
Why did that moment matter so much?
I know that I'm probably going to catch some flack for this. And I did at the time. His name was inmate Alex. And I always called him Mr. Alex. That was a tactic I always used in prison. I never called inmates inmate.
Yeah.
Mr. Alex, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Smith, I need to talk to you for a second. That right away gave them a sense of respect.
Yeah, yeah. You're not trying to look down your nose at them. Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of, get on their level. Well, Mr. Alex was a teacher in Las Vegas and never been arrested. Was about to be promoted to vice principal when he had a feeling his wife was screwing around on him. She was going to see her girlfriend in LA all the time, So he follows her one time, catches her with this guy, and loses his shit. And he almost beat the guy to death.
Yeah.
And in the squabble of her trying to get in the middle, she went flying, hit her head, He does 7 years for this.
I was going to say, because now they got like attempt murder, assault with a deadly weapon, all that crap.
Most respectful. He was my inmate porter in the building I worked with, Chewy. And to say I trusted him, definitely not. But I respected him. And he's
Yeah.
probably about the only inmate I ever really respected. And it was funny because the night before he was paroling, he came over to me. He goes, "Hey, Uranga, the guys in my little cubicle up here, they're gonna be giving me a little goodbye thing, man. I would honestly like if you came by and just kind of, popped in." I was like, "We'll see, man." So then, I see him and all his buddies in there, and he was loved in the unit.
Yeah.
All the inmates loved. It didn't, he was a big black dude, but I seen white guys coming over, shaking hands, giving him the kind of bro hug.
Yeah.
He was respected. And so I walked in there, and inmates have a way of making the most shitty food look good.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
they had a bunch of
dude. They'll take some top ramen and make that a
fuck yeah.
chef's
Oh,
leg,
yeah,
man.
bro.
Yeah.
And they had a few pre-made burritos, but then I seen the little thing of meat with some tortillas and stuff. And I came in there and I was like, "What's up, Mr. Alex?" I was like, "Yeah, appreciate you and this and that, just." And he goes, "Hey, Uranga, go ahead and get yourself a burrito." And I looked and I was like, "Well, I haven't eaten yet." And he's like, "No, man, go ahead, I said, "Okay," but I go, "I'm going to make my own burrito because I'm not going to eat one of these pre-made ones because I know one of you motherfuckers probably spit in that motherfucker." And they all just started laughing and shit, So what I did the next day, I came in early on purpose. Like about
You want to see him off?
about 30 minutes early. And I walked him from the unit to the gate where the transportation cops were coming to get him. And right at that gate, he turned to me and I put my hand out. And I shook his hand right in front of two other cops that sat there and just looked at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, but you know what? On a last day like that, I wouldn't look down on you that.
No,
I mean, what?
This guy was super respectful to me. He was straight up. He was a good dude, man. He made a fucking horrible mistake. I
was going to say, I think most people get what they deserve, but a handful of people.
He did his time.
I would say a handful of people with a little bit of help can go on to be good.
For
folks.
sure. No, it happens, bro. Dudes do get out there and make something of themselves.
I agree.
I've seen it.
Well, all right. You were under investigation. I've been under investigation. I think every cop at one point in their career, if you do your job, you're going to get under investigation sooner or later.
For sure.
How fast does the department turn on you?
Fucking in a heartbeat.
Big time.
In a fucking heartbeat.
Big time.
In this particular situation, I'd been under investigation for, a few other times for like incidents that went down, but it was just like, "Hey, you were there. What did you see?" kind of thing. But I get this call one day to the IA office. It's like, "Oh, fuck, bro. That's not, internal investigations."
Anytime they're calling you.
Yeah, that's not good, And the next thing I go in there and they're telling me that I'm being under investigation for overfamiliarization with this inmate. I can't remember his name. Let's just say it was Williams. Oh, yeah, it was Williams. Anyway, if you know the name Tukey Williams, he was the last.
He was the Crips.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was the last inmate to be put to death.
Yeah, and he actually was. Did he start the Crips?
He was one
like
of the
founding members of the Crips.
2 or 3 guys that. Yeah. And so I had built a rapport with this. We'll call him Inmate Jones. This guy, and super respectful, good dude. We would talk football. And he was a Raider fan. I'm a Charger fan. We would talk back and forth about, division rivalry and whatnot, and that was it. Well, he leaves the unit one day to go back to a level 4 mainline, and his cellie comes up and says, "Hey, Jones left this book behind. It's his book and a couple pictures. They're personal pictures of him and his wife, kid, whatever." So I was like, okay. So I get the book and I flip through it, make sure there's nothing written in between lines, and the pictures look legit. So I put them in an envelope and looked on the computer to see where he's at now, wrote the cell in, because that's what you do, and then you put it back in the mail, and then they get it, and it eventually gets back to him.
Yeah, they'll get it to him.
Well, on the piece of paper, I wrote, "Fuck the Raiders, go Chargers."
Jesus.
What happened was officers, when they open the mail on their end, they go through and look at everything. They see that I wrote this, because I put my name, CO Uranga, so he would know it was me, Well, that's all it took. One of these cops seen that, and they're like, "Oh, I think Uranga's
Yeah, he's
in cahoots with this guy,
him.
you know, and everything. Well, you know, I went to this investigation meeting. There's one guy sitting there from investigations interviewing you, saying every question. And there's just another guy sitting there the whole time just doing this. Looking at you. Didn't say a fucking word the whole time.
Yeah.
He's just watching my body language, you know. Turned out to be nothing. I was like, I don't know what this is coming from. I have no ties with this guy. Well, did you know that he's one of the main Crips? You know, this. And I was like, honestly, I fucking didn't know that. I didn't care to know. You know, it's just a short minute that this guy was in my unit, you know. Well, he's very influential and this and that, you know, and these guys could tell from the interview, they were like, this guy's,
yeah,
I'm legit. I'm not, I had nothing to fucking hide. But the shitty thing is they told me when the interview was, and it wasn't for 4 fucking weeks. So for 4 fucking weeks,
you gotta sit around and go like that,
fucking head spinning, wondering if I'm going to have a job. What is this about? I have no fucking idea. And they wouldn't tell me shit.
I would tell you something, bro.
Fuck.
I've had my rights read to me 3 times
bro.
in my career. One, because I shot somebody, you know, and you know, and, you know, and then the other ones, you know, it's like, man, we're not out here doing heinous stuff, man. But dude, every time, and it got to the point of, you know, when they would, hey Jay, did you use profanity? I'd be like, oh no, I motherfucked him. I'll tell you what I did, right?
Yeah, I did.
Right, because guess what? We're dealing with gangsters, man.
Right. That's the only language they understand.
That's what they understand.
Exactly.
You saw some close relatives that got locked up.
Yeah.
How does that mess with your kind of identity?
That really screwed with me, man. Like, in all my time at SADF, I ran into 2 Urangas.
Okay.
And 1 Macias on my mother's side. These were all 3 cousins, first cousins of mine. And, you know, the first couple I seen, they were coming into a level 2 yard where I was at. And, you know, I just see the name and I'm like, oh, fuck, I hope that's not. And then I see him, it's like, oh, shit, it is, you know.
Yeah.
So my cousin George, you know, I called him down to the office and I said, I talked to him like my cousin, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Primo, it's good to see you, man. It's shitty to see you here. He's like, oh, fuck, I was so surprised to see you, bro. I didn't know what the fuck to do, you know. And I said, okay, look, this is what's going to happen, man. You know, they're gonna probably move you over to the other yard here because you can't be here because of me, you know.
Dude, I got stuck in the same thing.
Yeah.
I had a cousin come out to Bob Wiley. I said, do not tell people you're my cousin.
Yeah.
And I went to the sergeant and I said, move him out of my yard.
Right.
I said, because guess what? Even the perception can get you in trouble.
Right.
And it's better to jump out in front of it and say, I'm telling you guys that this is my relative. I want him moved because I don't even want any.
That's exactly what I did each time.
And that's,
like,
and
man,
you know,
this is my
and
cousin.
I used to tell younger cops that I was training, hey bro, you get a relative in here, jump out in front of it. Because if you don't, the worst case scenario is if the relative says something, and now he gets racked because he's your relative,
or an incident kicks off, and there he is getting his ass beat, and it's like,
yeah,
what am I going to do? You know?
Yeah.
But the one that really bothered me was my cousin Ruben Macias on my mother's side. He was a real piece of shit. You know, he beat his wife. I think he molested a couple of his daughters.
Oh, shit.
You know, he was just fucking banned from the family, you know? And, you know, I just remember growing up playing, you know, and, we were close. And, one day, you know, I'm working the work exchange area where they're coming from work, you know, and they come in, they're in their boxers and they're basically holding all their clothes and their shoes. And they put it on the counter and then they turn in front of you and they do the dance. You know, they lift their arms, open their mouth, turn around, open their butt cheeks. And thank God he didn't come to me because I was already searching another inmate, but he was right here and I saw him and I recognized him. And then he gets his stuff. And as he's starting to walk out, he looks at me and makes eye contact with me, looks right at my name badge and kind of does the what's up thing. You know, I had my shades on. And I just didn't move, you know. And he stood there for a second. The cop right there goes, hey, man, what the fuck you doing? Keep moving, you know. So right after that, man, I went right to my custody captain. I'm like, hey, there's this cat here. He's my cousin. He's got to go. what do you want him off the yard or you want him off the prison? I said, I want him fucking as far away from here as possible. The very next day, he was on a bus going up north to Sacramento. I was like,
well, brother, man, believe it or not, we've been going for
yeah, I know.
a minute.
That is crazy. I didn't realize how much time.
It goes quick. And
Yeah.
actually, I had 50 more questions I could ask you, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
Couple of things. Number one, you are the first CO that I've had on this show. I love the fact I reached out to you and you said immediately, let's do
sure.
it, man.
For sure.
So for me to you, brother, I appreciate that. I think you deserve every good thing. You've earned it. I wish you nothing but health and happiness,
Thank
and
you,
you and
brother.
your family.
I think what you're doing here is great, man. I think this is, I think it's awesome, man.
Well, and I appreciate that, man. And you know, I'm trying to help people in our community.
For sure.
And I'm trying to highlight Tulare County.
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys with a quote. Prison does not change people, but it reveals them. And I think if you're a good person, it'll show. If you're a bad person, it's going to show.
For sure. We didn't even get to the suicide part. Maybe,
I know.
Maybe part two.
Well, that's it. You know what, man? In fact, I'm going to hang on to your stuff and maybe I'll bring you back. I have another person that's coming in behind me and she's going to do a show. So they're kind of giving me the...
Yeah. I can't believe how long we talked. I mean, it's just as crazy.
Well, I know. And you know what? If we didn't have this other person coming, I'd have done a 4-hour episode with you. But, well, folks,
it's all good, man.
Continue to watch. I'll have another guest next week. Again, I'd like to, thank my guest, Marco Uranga. And so good luck, God bless, and Godspeed. Thank you.